A journey to the extraordinary. Once upon a time, in a quiet little village nestled amidst gentle hills and a sparkling river, lived a young girl named Lisa. She was widely known beyond the village borders for her insatiable curiosity and adventurous spirit. Yet, it wasn't her bravery that set her apart, it was her enchanting dreams. Every night, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with brilliant shades of orange and pink, Lisa embarked on magical journeys in the realm of dreams. Her dreams were not ordinary, they were extraordinary. In her sleep, she explored fantastical worlds, met extraordinary creatures, and experienced thrilling adventures. The villagers gathered eagerly every morning to hear her stories of these amazing dreams. One evening, just as the sun disappeared behind the horizon, casting a fiery glow upon the land, a mysterious old woman named Alara arrived in the village. Alara had traveled from distant lands, carrying a small, antique-looking book and a secret that had been whispered by the wind. As she entered the village, her eyes fell upon Lisa, playing by the riverbank, her chestnut hair capturing the last rays of the setting sun. Alara knew she had finally found the one who could unlock the secrets of the magical book. She approached Lisa with a friendly smile. "Good evening, young lady," Alara greeted Lisa. Lisa looked up, her bright blue eyes filled with curiosity. "Hello, stranger. Who are you?" "I am Alara, a traveler from distant lands," the old woman replied. "I have heard of your remarkable dreams and believe you may be the one to unlock the secrets of this ancient book." Lisa's heart quickened. She had always dreamt of something more extraordinary than her nightly adventures. She nodded eagerly. "Tell me more." Alara opened the book and revealed pages with cryptic symbols, maps to uncharted places, and stories of mystical creatures. "This book holds the key to a hidden world that can only be reached through your dreams. The dreams you've had so far are just the beginning." That night, Lisa followed Alara's instructions with excitement. She held the book close to her heart, closed her eyes, and allowed the ancient words and symbols to fill her mind. The world around her blurred, and she found herself in a vast, otherworldly forest. The trees were enormous, with leaves that shimmered like emeralds. Unfamiliar birds sang sweet melodies, and the air was thick with enchantment. As she explored this dream world, she soon encountered a talking fox with silver fur named Finn. Finn had been waiting for her, just as Alara had predicted. "Welcome, Lisa," Finn greeted her with a friendly smile. "I am your guide in this wondrous place. Together, we will experience incredible adventures and uncover the secrets in this world." In the following nights, Lisa and Finn embarked on remarkable journeys. They explored the enchanted forest and discovered hidden clearings where unicorns grazed, and ancient trees whispered ancient secrets. They visited a floating city in the clouds, where the streets were paved with clouds, and met the cloud dwellers who shared stories of the world below. In another dream, Lisa found herself in an underwater palace made of coral and shells. She swam alongside mermaids and helped a young mermaid princess reunite with her family. The gratitude of the underwater denizens gifted her a special pearl necklace that glowed in the dark. As time passed, Lisa's dreams became even more extraordinary. She and Finn flew on the backs of giant eagles to a land of eternal winter, where they met the Ice Queen and uncovered the heartwarming story of a friendship that thawed the coldest heart. Lisa's adventures in her dreams brought not only boundless joy but also transformed the village. The villagers eagerly gathered every morning to hear the stories of her nightly escapades. Her dreams ignited their imagination and filled their hearts with hope, making their own lives richer and more exciting. But amid all the wonder and enchantment, a shadow began to loom. One night, while exploring a mysterious desert, Lisa and Finn stumbled upon a massive, ominous fortress. It was the hideout of the Dream Thief, a malevolent being who sought to steal the magic from dreams and keep it for itself. The Dream Thief, a towering, shadowy figure with gleaming, malevolent eyes, was determined to capture Lisa's dreams and imprison her in his fortress. Lisa and Finn realized they were facing their greatest challenge. They had to protect the world of dreams and their village from this malevolent creature. With courage and determination, Lisa and Finn devised a plan. They enlisted the help of the creatures they had encountered on their adventures, the unicorns, mermaids, eagles, and many others. They formed an alliance to protect the dream world and thwart the evil plans of the Dream Thief. When they faced the Dream Thief, a fierce battle ensued. It was a battle between light and darkness, good and evil. With the combined strength of all dream beings, they managed to weaken the Dream Thief. Lisa, empowered by her unwavering belief in the magic of dreams, unleashed a blinding flash of light that banished the malevolent creature from the dream world forever. The victory was celebrated not only in the dream world but also in the village. The once gloomy dungeon became a place of celebration and joy, and the dream world flourished as never before. Lisa's adventures continued, but now they were even more magnificent, and the dream beings accompanied her on many quests. The ancient book remained a source of endless wonder, and her nights were filled with the most extraordinary dreams. The village also thrived, infused with a wealth of creativity and inspiration from Lisa's stories. It became a vibrant, magical place, filled with laughter, hope, and dreams of their own. For Lisa, it was clear that her dreams were not just fantastic adventures but a testament to the boundless power of imagination and the belief that anything was possible. She continued her explorations in the dream world, guided by her loyal friend Finn, and realized that the magic of dreams could not only change the dream world but also the waking world. With a heart full of dreams and a world full of magic, Lisa went to sleep every night, knowing that the most exciting adventures were yet to come. The village also rested easy, grateful for the gift of her enchanting bedtime stories and the belief that dreams could truly come true. And so, under the starry sky, with the moon as her faithful companion, Lisa's adventures in the dreamland continued, inspiring all who heard her stories and reminding them that the night was not only for sleeping but also for dreaming of the extraordinary. In her dreams, the ordinary became extraordinary, and the world was as boundless as human imagination. As the villagers listened to her tales, they drifted to sleep, eagerly anticipating joining Lisa in the dream world, where enchantment, excitement, and endless possibilities awaited them. And thus, in that quiet little village nestled between gentle hills and a sparkling river, the cycle of dreams, adventures, and inspiration continued night after night in the heart of the extraordinary. Once upon a time in a small village at the edge of a great forest, there lived a girl named Lily. Lily was 8 years old and loved playing in the forest. Every day after school, she would run into the woods to embark on new adventures and make new friends. One sunny afternoon, as she wandered among the trees, she discovered a narrow path she had never seen before. Curious, Lily followed the path. It led her deeper and deeper into the forest until she finally reached a clearing. In the clearing stood an old but beautiful treehouse. It looked like something out of a fairy tale, with colorful windows and a small ladder leading up to the entrance. Lily climbed the ladder and cautiously stepped inside. The interior of the treehouse was cozy, with soft cushions, colorful rugs, and shelves full of books and toys. In the middle of the room stood a table with a golden box on it. Lily could not contain her curiosity and opened the box. Inside the box, she found an old, leather-bound book. On the cover, in glittering letters, it read, "The Book of Wishes." Lily could hardly believe it. She had heard of magical books before, but she had never seen one. She opened the book and began to read. It said that if one wrote a wish in the book, that wish would come true. Lily thought for a long time. What should she wish for? She already had many things that made her happy, but there was one thing she wanted more than anything else, a friend to share all her adventures with. So she took a pen and carefully wrote, "I wish for a friend to play with and share adventures." No sooner had she written the last letter than she heard a rustling behind her. Lily turned around and saw a small, mischievous boy standing in the doorway, smiling at her. "Hi, I'm Jack," he said cheerfully. "I heard you were looking for a friend." Lily was astonished but also very happy. She invited Jack to sit down, and they immediately began chatting. It turned out that Jack was just as adventurous as she was. He loved playing hide and seek, building tree houses, and discovering new places. From that day on, Lily and Jack were inseparable. Every day they met in the treehouse and planned new adventures. They explored the deepest corners of the forest, found hidden caves, and even built a raft to cross the small river in the woods. They experienced many exciting and funny moments together and became the best of friends. One day, as they were sitting in the treehouse again, Jack asked, "Lily, do you think the Book of Wishes only works once?" Lily shrugged. "I don't know, but we could try it." They took out the book, and Jack wrote a new wish inside, "I wish for Lily and me to be friends forever." At that moment, a bright light appeared, and the book began to glow. A gentle voice said, "Your friendship is special. It will last forever if you cherish it with your hearts." The light faded, and the book returned to normal. Lily and Jack looked at each other and knew that their friendship was truly magical. The years passed, and Lily and Jack remained the best of friends. They had many more adventures, but the treehouse in the woods always remained their special meeting place. They shared secrets, laughed together, and supported each other when times were tough. One day, many years later, when Lily and Jack were grown up, they visited the old tree house one last time. It was a little rundown but still full of memories. They sat on the floor and opened the Book of Wishes one last time. "Do you remember how it all began?" Lily asked, smiling. Jack nodded. "Yes, and I will never forget it." And so, Lily and Jack stayed friends forever, just as they had wished. Their friendship was a true fairy tale that began in the heart of a little girl and a mischievous boy and lasted forever. And if they haven't passed away, they are still having new adventures to this day. One frosty winter afternoon, siblings Mia and Liam were curled up in their living room. A fire crackled in the fireplace, and their dog Max lay snoozing on the rug. On the table before them lay a world map, covered in little sticky notes from past adventures. "We've been to the mountains and the beach," said Liam, tracing a finger across the map, "but where else can we go?" Mia leaned closer, her finger hovering over the icy blue at the top of the map. "What about here?" "The Arctic," she exclaimed. Liam's eyes widened. "You mean where it's snowy all the time? And there are polar bears?" Max barked as if to say, "Yes, please." Mia grinned. "Exactly. It'll be the adventure of a lifetime." They spent the rest of the afternoon planning, excitement buzzing between them. The next morning, Mia and Liam woke early to pack. They dug through closets for their warmest clothes, thick parkas, woolly socks, snow boots, and mittens. Mia stuffed a thermos and snacks into her bag, while Liam double-checked a compass and flashlight. "Don't forget Max's blanket," Liam reminded. Mia added it to the old sled they'd found in the garage. "This sled will be perfect for carrying Max and our gear across the snow," she said. Their parents helped them bundle up before waving goodbye. "Take care, and don't forget to call if you need us," their mom said. "Bring back stories," their dad added. With Max leading the way, the three set off on their great Arctic adventure. As they approached the Arctic, the world around them transformed. Snow blanketed everything in sight, sparkling like tiny diamonds under the sunlight. The air was crisp and cold, filling their lungs with each breath. "Look at that," Liam whispered, pointing at a white fox darting through the snow. Not far behind it was a herd of reindeer, their antlers magnificent against the icy backdrop. "It's like stepping into a postcard," Mia said. Max, bundled up in his little coat, barked excitedly and wagged his tail. They pulled out the sled and began their trek, marveling at the frozen beauty of their surroundings. As they ventured deeper into the Arctic, they heard barking in the distance. Soon, a boy about their age appeared, steering a team of sled dogs. He stopped and waved, a warm smile on his face. "Hi. My name's Anik," he said. "Are you exploring too?" Mia and Liam introduced themselves, explaining their adventure. Anik offered to show them how to build an igloo. "It's a skill every Arctic explorer needs," he said with a wink. They worked together to carve blocks of snow, stacking them into a cozy dome. Inside, Anik shared stories of his life in the Arctic, while they sipped hot tea. He told them about the northern lights. "If the sky is clear tonight, we might see them," he said. That evening, Mia, Liam, Max, and Anik bundled up and stepped outside. The sky was darker than they'd ever seen, glittering with countless stars. Suddenly, streaks of green and purple light began to ripple across the sky. "Wow," whispered Mia, her eyes wide. The lights danced and shimmered, painting the heavens in breathtaking colors. "It's even more amazing than I imagined," said Liam. "This is what we call the aurora borealis," Anik explained. Max barked and wagged his tail, as if he understood the beauty above them. They stood together for what felt like hours, soaking in the magic of the Arctic night. The next morning, the sun rose over the snowy horizon, casting a golden glow across the landscape. Mia and Liam knew it was time to leave. Anik gave them a small carved fox. "Take this to remember your journey," he said. They hugged him tightly, promising to return someday. Max gave a cheerful bark, as if to agree. As they sledded back, Mia and Liam couldn't stop talking about their adventure. "The Arctic is even better than I dreamed," said Mia. When they arrived home, they ran inside to share their stories. "You wouldn't believe it," Liam said, pulling out the carved fox. "The Arctic is magical." Balthazar's Magical New Year's Adventure. Once upon a time in a small town called Sparkleville, known for its enchanting New Year's celebrations, The streets were adorned with colorful lights, and people poured out of their homes to experience the festive atmosphere. The children were particularly excited because in Sparkleville, there was an annual tradition that outshone all other New Year's celebrations. In this special night, the children gathered at the town's central square, where the magical fireworks display was set to take place. However, this year something extraordinary was about to happen. A few days prior, the old wizard Balthazar had announced a mysterious prophecy. When the children of Sparkleville unite their hearts and collectively make a wish, the New Year's fireworks will turn into an adventure they will never forget. The news of the prophecy spread like wildfire among the town's children. Soon, they decided to join forces, make a wish together, and transform the New Year's fireworks into an unforgettable adventure. On New Year's Eve, the children assembled excitedly at the central square. The clock struck midnight, and the sky over Sparkleville lit up with a magical glow. But before the traditional fireworks could begin, the children formed a circle and held hands. In the center of the circle stood an old, magically shimmering fountain known as the Wishing Well. The children gazed in awe at the sparkling water, sensing the magic in the air. Suddenly, a mysterious figure emerged from the well. It was the wizard Balthazar, who greeted the children with a radiant smile. "Welcome, brave children of Sparkleville. The time has come to make your collective wish and turn the fireworks into an adventure," he proclaimed. The children looked at each other, smiled, and began to express their wishes aloud. One wished for courage, another for a spirit of adventure, and yet another wished for all the children in town to be friends forever. As the last wish was uttered, the wishing well began to glow, and a luminous mist rose into the air. The mist vanished, revealing a sparkling archway leading to an unknown place. It was a magical portal that would guide the children into their New Year's adventure. Filled with curiosity, the children entered the portal and found themselves in an enchanted world. Colorful lights danced around them, and the ground beneath their feet seemed to be made of stardust. Friendly laughter echoed through the air, and the children knew that their adventure had just begun. Wizard Balthazar appeared once again, explaining to the children that they had to complete 4 tasks to receive the ultimate New Year's wish. Eager and full of courage, the children embarked on their adventure. The first task led the children into a sparkling forest, where living trees challenged them with riddles. Working together, the children solved the puzzles, gaining the trust of the magical beings. As a reward, they received a magical key that would guide them to the next task. The second task took the children to a giant candy forest, where sweets grew on the trees. Here, they encountered playful candy creatures, who helped them build a massive gingerbread man. Together, they laughed and indulged in the sweet treats before the gingerbread man rewarded them with the second key. The third task carried the children into the sky, where they floated on flying carpets among the clouds. There, they met the friendly star guardian, who listened to their dreams and gifted them the third key. The fourth and final task led the children to a dazzling castle, where the mighty firework king resided. To receive the ultimate New Year's wish, the children had to build the most beautiful rocket for the king. With creativity and teamwork, the children crafted a spectacular rocket that impressed the firework king. As a reward, they received the fourth and final key. With the 4 keys in hand, the children returned to the magical portal. Wizard Balthazar accompanied them and asked them to insert the keys together into the lock. As they did, the portal opened once again, and they found themselves back on Sparkleville's central square, surrounded by amazed onlookers. The sky over Sparkleville lit up in the most beautiful colors as the magical New Year's fireworks began. But this time, it wasn't just a fireworks display. It was a breathtaking show, where the rockets told the stories of the children. Each rocket symbolized one of the wishes the children had made. The people of Sparkleville gazed in awe at the sky, feeling the magic in the air. The children smiled at each other, knowing that not only had their wishes come true, but they had also experienced an unforgettable adventure. The New Year's adventure in Sparkleville became a legend passed down from generation to generation. The children who participated remained friends forever, and the magic of the wishing well lived on in their hearts. And so, every year, the town of Sparkleville celebrated a New Year's that was not only marked by sparkling lights and colorful rockets, but also by the memory of the enchanting adventure the children had shared. Chrononexus. In the quiet corridors of the Quantum Research Institute, Dr. Emily Turner and her team were on the brink of a scientific breakthrough that would redefine the boundaries of human understanding. Their project, codenamed Chrononexus, aimed to unlock the secrets of time travel. For years, they had labored tirelessly, poring over equations, conducting countless experiments, and enduring their fair share of failures. But on a crisp autumn morning, it all changed. As Emily adjusted her glasses and examined the data on her computer screen, a flash of excitement crossed her face. "Eureka!" she exclaimed, startling her team. "I think we've done it. We've found the key to time travel." Her team crowded around her, their eyes wide with anticipation. "Show us, Emily," urged Dr. Carter, her longtime collaborator. Emily pointed at the equations on her screen. "Look here, at this convergence point. It's as if time itself is folding in on this one spot. If we can harness this energy, we might be able to manipulate it." Their collective excitement was palpable, but there was much work to be done. Over the following months, they constructed a colossal device, the chrono generator, which would be capable of bending the fabric of spacetime itself. On a sunny morning, Emily and her team gathered around the chrono generator, their hearts pounding with equal parts excitement and trepidation. They had taken every precaution, conducted endless safety checks, and devised a meticulous plan. Emily was the first to step into the sleek, metallic chamber of the generator. She took a deep breath, her fingers trembling as she activated the machine. A low hum filled the room, and a swirling vortex of light engulfed her. As she vanished into the shimmering maelstrom, the team held their breath. Minutes passed like hours, and then, with a burst of energy, Emily reappeared, disheveled but grinning from ear to ear. "It worked," she exclaimed. "I traveled through time." Her words were met with jubilant cheers from her team. Emily recounted her experience. She had landed in the same lab, but the year was 1969. She had witnessed the moon landing firsthand, standing just a few feet away from Neil Armstrong as he took his historic step. Over the following weeks, the Chrononexus project became a sensation in the scientific community and beyond. Emily and her team made several successful time jumps, each one meticulously documented and scrutinized. They believed they had control over the spacetime continuum. But as they say, with great power comes great responsibility. Their newfound ability to manipulate time began to unravel the fabric of reality itself. Minor changes in the past resulted in unforeseen consequences in the present. The world was no longer the place they remembered. Emily and her team realized that they needed to make one final jump, back to the moment of their initial discovery, to prevent themselves from ever creating the chrono generator. It was the only way to restore the timeline and prevent further chaos. The day of the final jump arrived, and the team was somber but determined. They gathered around the chrono generator one last time. Emily was about to step in when a voice from behind stopped her. "Wait. I won't let you do it," said Dr. Carter, his face filled with desperation. "What are you talking about, Carter?" Emily asked, bewildered. Carter stepped forward, a wild look in his eyes. "I've seen what we've become, Emily. We're revered as gods, but we've also caused immeasurable suffering with our time manipulations. We've played with the very essence of existence, and it's tearing the universe apart. I won't let you erase our achievements." Before anyone could react, Carter activated the chrono generator and leapt into the past. Emily and her team watched in horror as he disappeared into the swirling vortex. The consequences of Carter's actions were immediate and catastrophic. The timeline became a twisted, fractured mess. Historical events blurred together, and reality itself seemed to unravel. Desperate to fix the damage, Emily and her team worked tirelessly, attempting to recalibrate the chrono generator. But it was too late. The device was unstable, and they couldn't control it anymore. As they stood in their lab, surrounded by chaos, Emily realized the only way to save the universe was to make the ultimate sacrifice. She activated the chrono generator one last time, sending herself back to the moment of their discovery, with no way to return. Dr. Emily Turner stood alone in the Quantum Research Institute's lab, her heart heavy with the weight of her decision. She knew that she had to prevent the creation of the chrono generator, even if it meant erasing her own existence. As she gazed at the equations on the computer screen, tears welled up in her eyes. "Goodbye, my friends," she whispered, and then she deactivated the machine. The universe shivered, and reality snapped back into place. History unfolded as it should, and the world returned to a semblance of normalcy. In the end, Emily's sacrifice had saved the universe from the chaos of time manipulation. The Chrono Nexus project became nothing more than a forgotten dream, a tantalizing glimpse of what might have been. And somewhere, in the annals of history, a brilliant scientist named Dr. Emily Turner was never known for her groundbreaking work in time travel. But in her heart, she knew she had made the ultimate journey to preserve the integrity of time itself. Dragonheart. In a small village called Sunvale, lived a young boy named Tom. Tom had a special passion for dragons. Ever since he could remember, he dreamed of seeing a real dragon. His parents often told him stories of the mythical creatures that were said to live in the distant mountains. One day, on Tom's 11th birthday, he woke up with an exciting feeling. It was as if something magical was in the air. His parents surprised him with a small dragon pendant as a birthday gift. Tom beamed with joy, feeling that this day held something extraordinary. After breakfast, Tom decided to explore the village and seek out adventures. On his journey through the forest, he suddenly heard a strange, soft gurgling sound. Curious, he followed the noise and discovered a hidden cave. Brave, he approached and dared to take a look inside. To his great surprise, he saw a small dragon sitting in the cave. The dragon had shimmering green scales and large, friendly eyes. Tom could hardly believe his eyes. "Hello, little human," said the dragon with a gentle voice. "I'm Drake, the guardian of the Lost Mountains. What's your name?" "My name is Tom," replied the boy excitedly. "I've always dreamed of real dragons." "Are there really lost mountains?" "Yes, Tom. The Lost Mountains are magical and only visible to those with a pure heart. You are a special boy, which is why you could find me," explained Drake. Tom and Drake quickly became best friends. The little dragon told Tom about the secrets of the Lost Mountains and the magical powers that lay dormant within them. Tom could hardly believe his luck in finding a real dragon. Together, they experienced many adventures. They flew over the Lost Mountains, discovered hidden waterfalls, and befriended other magical creatures. Drake taught Tom the language of the dragons, and Tom showed the little dragon how to play marbles. One day, however, they felt that something was amiss. Dark clouds gathered over the Lost Mountains, and a cold wind swept through the air. Drake explained with concern, "Darkness is threatening the magic of the mountains. We must do something about it, Tom." Determined, Tom and Drake set out to unravel the mystery of the darkness. Along the way, they encountered other dragons who were aware of the threat. Together, they decided to protect the magical energy of the Lost Mountains. The journey led them through treacherous forests, across raging rivers, and over snow-covered peaks. Tom and Drake encountered evil creatures influenced by the darkness, but with courage and unity, they overcame every challenge. Eventually, they reached the summit of the highest mountain, where the source of the darkness was hidden. There, they faced a powerful dragon named Shadow, who unleashed the darkness to gain control over the magical powers. Shadow laughed wickedly and said, "You cannot stop the darkness. It will engulf the Lost Mountains forever, and I will have power over everything." Tom and Drake looked at each other determinedly. Rallying the other dragons, they unleashed a combined magical energy that banished the darkness. Shadow was defeated, and the Lost Mountains radiated once again in their full glory. The other dragons cheered with joy, and Tom was celebrated as a hero. Drake thanked his friend warmly, saying, "Tom, you have proven that the power of friendship is stronger than any darkness. You will always be a friend of the dragons." With a mix of happiness and sadness, Tom and Drake bid farewell. The young boy returned to Sunvale, But he carried the memory of the magical lost mountains and the friendship with Drake forever in his heart. From that day on, Tom told everyone in the village the story of his adventures with Drake and the Lost Mountains. People could hardly believe him. But the children in the village now also dreamed of real dragons and magical worlds. Thus ended Tom's adventure, and every time he wore the dragon pendant around his neck, he remembered the magical friendship that began in the Lost Mountains.
Echoes of the Amulet. In a quaint village nestled between rolling hills and lush meadows, a sense of tranquility reigned. The villagers went about their daily routines with smiles on their faces, sharing stories, laughter, and the warmth of camaraderie. At the heart of the village stood an ancient oak tree, its massive branches stretching skyward as if reaching for the heavens. This tree was more than just a landmark, it was a symbol of unity, a gathering place where generations had come together to celebrate festivals and mark important occasions. But beneath the idyllic surface, a secret lay hidden, known only to a few. The elders of the village had passed down a tale from time immemorial, a story of a mystical amulet that was said to grant unimaginable power to its bearer. The amulet was rumored to be hidden deep within the caverns that lay beneath the hills, waiting for a worthy soul to discover its secrets. Among the villagers, a young woman named Alara was particularly captivated by this legend. Her fiery red hair and emerald eyes held a spark of curiosity that set her apart. Alara had always been drawn to stories of adventure and magic, and the tale of the amulet stirred her soul like nothing else. She spent her days exploring the outskirts of the village, gazing longingly at the hills and wondering about the hidden depths that lay beneath. One evening, as the setting sun cast a golden hue over the village, Alara found herself standing at the foot of the ancient oak tree. The wind whispered through its leaves, carrying with it a sense of anticipation. Alara felt a surge of determination coursing through her veins. She had made up her mind, she would set out on a quest to find the legendary amulet and uncover the truth behind the village's secret. Gathering her belongings and bidding her tearful parents farewell, Alara set off toward the hills. The villagers watched her departure with a mix of concern and admiration, knowing that she was embarking on a perilous journey. But Alara's heart was filled with a fierce resolve, and she pushed forward, guided by an inner compass that seemed attuned to the very pulse of the land. Days turned into weeks as Alara navigated through dense forests and treacherous terrain. She encountered creatures of the wild, some friendly and others not so, but her determination remained unshaken. Along the way, she met a wise old hermit who spoke of the challenges that awaited her in the caverns, puzzles that would test her wits, obstacles that would challenge her strength, and darkness that would seek to consume her very soul. Undeterred, Alara pressed on, her heart echoing with the words of the hermit. Finally, after a grueling journey, she stood before the entrance to the fabled caverns. The air was heavy with an eerie stillness, and the mouth of the cave seemed to beckon her forward like a gaping maw. As Alara ventured deeper into the labyrinthine tunnels, the very essence of the place seemed to shift. Shadows danced along the walls, and whispers echoed through the passages, carrying promises of power and treacherous temptations. Alara's lantern cast a feeble glow, revealing intricate carvings that adorned the walls, symbols and riddles left behind by those who had come before. The puzzles proved to be as daunting as the hermit had warned, testing Alara's intellect and ingenuity. She deciphered ancient scripts, manipulated complex mechanisms, and braved perilous traps, each step bringing her closer to the heart of the caverns. Along the way, she encountered spectral guardians, manifestations of the darkness that sought to thwart her progress, but Alara's spirit remained unbreakable, fueled by a determination that burned brighter with each challenge she overcame. At long last, she reached a chamber bathed in an ethereal light, and there, resting atop a pedestal of stone, lay the legendary amulet. Its intricate design shimmered with an otherworldly brilliance, and as Alara reached out to touch it, she felt a surge of power coursing through her veins. Yet, as her fingers brushed against the amulet, a voice echoed through the chamber, a voice that spoke of the amulet's true nature, of the sacrifices required to wield its power. Alara hesitated, torn between her desire for power and the realization that such power came at a cost. She weighed the consequences carefully, her heart heavy with the weight of her decision. In the end, Elara chose to leave the amulet untouched, understanding that true strength came not from external forces, but from within. With a heavy heart, she retraced her steps, making her way back through the treacherous caverns and emerging into the daylight once more. Her return to the village was met with a mixture of relief and pride, for Elara had proven herself a true heroine. As the years passed, Elara became a revered figure in the village, her tale inspiring generations to come. She found fulfillment not in the pursuit of power, but in the bonds she forged and the knowledge she shared. The village thrived, and the ancient oak tree continued to stand as a symbol of unity and resilience. And so, the village nestled between rolling hills and lush meadows remained a haven of tranquility and camaraderie, where the memory of Elara's journey lived on as a testament to the strength of the human spirit and the choices that define who we truly are.
Forest of Unity. On a starry night in the heart of the ancient forest, an icy wind whispered through the towering trees, their leaves rustling like the eerie murmur of ghostly voices. The moon cast a pale glow on the forest floor, revealing the silhouettes of gnarled branches and twisted roots that spread out like skeletal fingers. In this mysterious realm, a group of animals gathered in a small clearing. There was Badger, the wise owl with feathers as gray as the mist that often enveloped the forest, Fox, a sleek black fox with eyes that gleamed like polished onyx, and Hare, a shy rabbit with fur as white as the snow that covered the forest in winter. The animals gathered to share stories and seek comfort in each other's company, for they had heard unsettling rumors about a malevolent force lurking in the shadows of the forest. Rumors about a creature so dark that even the bravest animals dared not speak its name. As Badger told a tale of an ancient curse that had plagued the forest centuries ago, the atmosphere grew tense. The animals' ears perked up, and their eyes widened with a mix of fear and curiosity. The legend spoke of a long-forgotten wizard banished to the heart of the forest for practicing dark magic. In his final moments, consumed by bitterness and anger, the wizard had cursed the land that now served as a refuge for the animals. The curse was to awaken every 100 years, summoning a malevolent being bent on tormenting and devouring any creature unfortunate enough to cross its path. The animals trembled, exchanging nervous glances as Badger's words hung heavily in the air. Hare's ears drooped, and Fox's fur bristled with unease. Just as Badger reached the climax of the story, a sudden silence fell over the clearing. The wind ceased its mournful howling, and the moon disappeared behind a blanket of ominous clouds. The animals felt an eerie stillness, a premonition of an invisible presence that sent shivers down their spines. A guttural growl echoed through the darkness, freezing the blood in their veins. The once serene clearing transformed into a realm of tangible fear as the creature, born from the ancient curse, emerged from the shadows. It was a monstrous figure, shrouded in tattered, ethereal robes that seemed to absorb the moonlight itself. Glowing eyes peered out from the hood, radiating with a supernatural malevolence that struck terror into the hearts of the gathered animals. The creature spoke with a voice that seemed to resonate with the depths of the forest, sending shivers through the animals. You enter a realm cursed by the wrongdoing of your ancestors. Now you will bear the consequences. With a wave of its spectral hand, the creature conjured a swirling vortex of shadows that enveloped the clearing. The animals huddled together, their hearts pounding with fear as darkness closed in around them. A cacophony of whispers echoed through the emptiness, each voice a tortured soul ensnared by the curse. As the shadows tightened, Badger, with a spark of ancient wisdom, recognized the need for action. We must not succumb to the fear that binds this curse. Together, we must find the strength to break free from its grip. Bramble, shaking off his initial paralysis, nodded in agreement. Luna, though trembling, drew courage from her companions. The three animals looked at each other and silently vowed to confront the malevolent force threatening them. With a collective surge, the animals pushed against the encroaching shadows. Badger's wings fluttered with an ethereal light, Bramble's eyes glowed with an inner fire, and Luna's timid gaze transformed into steadfast courage. Their united efforts began to loosen the grip of the curse, pushing back the suffocating darkness. The creature roared in frustration, its form flickering as the ancient magic wavered under the assault of the united animals. Amidst the struggle, Badger's ancient wisdom struck upon an idea. We must find the source of the curse, the heart that sustains this malevolence. Only by confronting it can we hope to free ourselves. Guided by Badger's wisdom, the three ventured deeper into the shadowy depths of the forest. The trees seemed to close in around them, whispering ominous secrets that intensified the oppressive atmosphere. Yet, fueled by their newfound courage, the animals pressed on. The deeper they penetrated into the heart of the cursed realm, the thicker the air became with unnatural energy. The ground beneath their paws felt animated by unseen forces, leading them to the epicenter of the malevolence. Sensing their approach, the creature materialized waves of dark apparitions to thwart their progress. Bramble leapt and dodged, his lithe form weaving through the shadows. Badger's wings beat with a protective aura, shielding Luna from the ethereal claws reaching out to seize her. The forest itself seemed to resist their intrusion, but the trio pressed forward. Finally, in a clearing bathed in a ghostly glow, the source of the curse revealed itself. A twisted tree, its gnarled roots reaching deep into the corrupted soil, stood as the vessel for the malevolence that had gripped the forest. A pulsating heart, entwined with spectral vines, beat in the rhythm of ancient hatred. The creature, sensing their approach, materialized before the animals with vengeful wrath. "You dare challenge the essence of the curse? Foolish creatures, you will be consumed by the darkness." Unfazed, Badger, Bramble, and Luna faced the creature with unwavering determination. Badger's eyes glowed with ancient wisdom, Bramble's fur shimmered with the essence of the forest, and Luna's heart pulsed with the purity of innocence. In unison, they directed their collective energy toward the accursed tree. The heart trembled, its spectral vines recoiling before the onslaught of the animals' combined forces. The creature, weakened by the waning magic, emitted a thunderous roar that reverberated through the eerie clearing. With increasing intensity, the trio's efforts began to unravel the curse. The malevolent power, stripped of its might, dissipated like morning mist under the first rays of the sun. The tormenting whispers faded, and the shadows receded, allowing the forest to bask once again in the gentle glow of the moon. The animals, exhausted but triumphant, witnessed the transformation of the cursed tree. Its twisted branches straightened, and the spectral vines disintegrated. Instead of darkness, life began to bloom in all its splendor. Flowers of myriad colors unfurled, and the air was filled with the sweet scent of newfound freedom. The creature, now reduced to an ethereal essence, lingered for a moment before dissipating into the night. Its malevolent presence vanished, leaving behind a transformed forest and the animals who dared to confront the ancient curse. Badger, Bramble, and Luna stood in the clearing, gazing at the renewed landscape. The once fear-filled clearing now teemed with life, a testament to the resilience of nature and the power of unity against the forces of darkness. As dawn painted the horizon with hues of pink and gold, the animals felt a sense of peace settling over the forest. The ancient curse, broken by their courage and determination, became a fading memory in the annals of the forest dwellers. With a newly forged camaraderie forged in the fire of adversity, Badger, Bramble, and Luna returned to their clearing. The stories they shared now carried a different weight, a testament to the night they faced the malevolent force and emerged victorious. And so, in the heart of the ancient forest, the animals celebrated the triumph of light over darkness, their unity echoing through the whispering leaves as a reminder that even in the face of the most formidable curses, courage and unity could prevail. The Adventure of Leo. Once upon a time in the heart of the jungle, far away from here, there lived a small lion named Leo. Leo may have been small, but he had a heart full of courage. The jungle was his home, and he loved playing with his friends and experiencing adventures. One day, the old elephant Rafiki told the animals in the jungle about a mysterious cave, where allegedly the bravest lion in the world lived. This cave was hidden deep in the jungle, and no one had ever seen the courageous lion. Leo perked up his small ears and immediately felt that this was a task for him. "Leo, you are the bravest little lion we know. Are you ready to uncover the secret of the brave cave?" Rafiki asked with a wise smile. Leo agreed immediately. "Of course I will find the cave and prove that I am the bravest lion." With a determined resolve, Leo set off. The jungle was vast and full of dangers, but Leo was not afraid. He sang a little song to bolster his courage as he stealthily moved through the tall grass. A little lion, so brave and small, will unveil the secret cave standing tall. With a heart full of courage and a smile on his face, he walks through the jungle, the goal to embrace. Along the way, Leo encountered many animals who told him about their own adventures. He heard about treacherous ravines, wild rivers, and dark caves. Yet, nothing could deter Leo from reaching his destination. His courage grew with every step he took. Eventually, Leo reached the mysterious cave. The entrance was surrounded by dense greenery, making it difficult to spot. Leo took a deep breath and entered. The cave was dark, but Leo didn't hesitate. With a deep breath and a small roar, he ventured further inside. In the cave, Leo discovered a magical world filled with glowing crystals and shimmering stones. In the center of the cave stood a majestic lion with an impressive golden mane. This was the brave lion everyone spoke of. "Welcome, little Leo. You have found your way here because your heart is so courageous," said the golden lion with a deep voice. Leo was overwhelmed but felt honored at the same time. "I wanted to prove that I am the bravest lion in the jungle." The golden lion smiled. "Courage comes in many forms, little Leo. You have shown the courage to go into the unknown and follow your heart. That alone makes you a true hero." Leo felt his heart expand with pride and joy. He had not only found the brave cave, but also discovered something much more important: the courage within him. With a smile, Leo returned to the jungle. The other animals were eager to hear his story. Leo shared tales of the glowing crystals, the golden lion, and, most importantly, the realization that courage doesn't always mean being without fear, but continuing forward despite it. From that day on, Leo was not only the smallest lion in the jungle, but also the bravest. He helped his friends, overcame obstacles, and spread his story of courage and determination. Leo's story became a legend in the jungle, and his song echoed through the trees. A little lion so brave and small found the secret cave so wonderfully tall. With a heart full of courage and a smile on his face, he walked through the jungle, the goal to embrace. And so, Leo lived happily and content in the jungle, always ready for new adventures, because he knew that true greatness lies in the heart, and courage is the key to the most exciting stories.
Oscar the Guardian of the Ocean. Once upon a time, in a peaceful underwater kingdom, there lived a young and curious fish named Oscar. Oscar was a vibrant and lively fish who loved exploring the wonders of the ocean. His scales shimmered like a rainbow, and his heart was as big as the ocean itself. Oscar lived with his family in a cozy coral reef home. Every day, he would wake up early, swim out into the vast ocean, and discover new places and creatures. Oscar's best friend was a graceful sea turtle named Tessa. They would embark on adventures together, exploring shipwrecks, discovering hidden caves, and making friends with all the underwater creatures. One sunny morning, Oscar and Tessa decided to visit a mysterious shipwreck they had heard about from their older fish friends. They swam through schools of fish, danced with the playful dolphins, and finally reached the shipwreck. It was an eerie and captivating place, filled with colorful corals and surrounded by an array of exotic fish. As Oscar and Tessa explored the shipwreck, Oscar noticed something unusual. There were shiny objects scattered all around: bottles, cans, and even a broken toy boat. "Tessa," Oscar said with concern, "why are there so many strange things here? It doesn't look right." Tessa, who was wiser and more experienced, sighed and explained, "Oscar, these are things that humans call trash. Sometimes, they throw their garbage into the ocean, and it ends up here. It's not good for the ocean or its inhabitants." Oscar frowned, puzzled by this new discovery. He had never seen trash in his beloved ocean before. "But Tessa, why would humans do such a thing? Don't they love the ocean like we do?" Tessa nodded sadly. "Many humans do love the ocean, but sometimes they don't realize the harm they're causing. We need to teach them about the importance of keeping the ocean clean and safe for all of us." Determined to make a difference, Oscar and Tessa decided to take action. They swam back to their coral reef home and gathered their friends, Sammy the seahorse, Bella the crab, and Finley the octopus. Together, they formed the Ocean Guardians, a team committed to protecting their home from pollution. The Ocean Guardians began by cleaning up the shipwreck and removing all the trash they could find. They used their teamwork and creativity to repurpose some of the items into beautiful art and decorations for their homes. Oscar even turned an old plastic bottle into a cozy shelter for a hermit crab named Harry. Word spread about the Ocean Guardians and their efforts to clean up the ocean. More and more underwater creatures joined their cause, and they started organizing regular cleanup events.
They would swim together, collecting trash and sorting it for recycling. The ocean started to look cleaner, and the marine life grew healthier and happier. One day, a school of dolphins joined the ocean guardians on a cleanup mission. As they were busy picking up trash, Oscar noticed something strange: a group of jellyfish struggling to swim in a polluted area. Their delicate bodies were trapped in plastic bags and old fishing nets. Oscar felt his heart sink. "We have to help them, Tessa," he said urgently. Tessa nodded and led the way. With their careful teamwork, the ocean guardians freed the jellyfish from their plastic prison and watched as they gracefully swam away, their tentacles sparkling in gratitude. The dolphins cheered, and one of them, a wise old dolphin named Delphine, said, "Thank you, ocean guardians. You've not only saved the jellyfish but also reminded us all of the importance of taking care of our home. We promise to spread the word to our fellow dolphins." The news of the ocean guardians' heroic rescue spread far and wide. Humans who had been unaware of the harm their trash was causing to the ocean began to take notice. They saw the beauty of the ocean and the incredible efforts of the underwater creatures to protect it. Soon, humans from nearby coastal towns organized beach cleanup events of their own. They started using reusable bags and bottles, reducing their plastic waste, and recycling more. The ocean began to heal, and the marine life flourished. Oscar and Tessa were overjoyed by the positive change they had inspired. They knew that their mission was far from over, but they were hopeful that with continued effort and education, the ocean would become a clean and safe place for all its inhabitants. As the years passed, Oscar and Tessa grew older, but their dedication to protecting the ocean never wavered. They knew that the key to a thriving ocean was teamwork and education. And so, they continued to swim the depths of the ocean, teaching new generations of fish and creatures to be ocean guardians, ensuring that the beauty and wonder of the ocean would be preserved for generations to come. And in the end, Oscar and Tessa's story became a legend, a reminder to all that even the smallest fish could make a big difference when they worked together to protect their home, the beautiful, vast, and mysterious ocean. In a small town, there lived a curious boy named Leo. Leo loved everything about space. His walls were covered with star maps, and he had a telescope through which he looked at the sky every night. But what Leo truly wanted was to see the stars up close. One night, as he looked out his window, a bright, golden beam of light fell from the sky directly into the forest behind his house. "A star has fallen," Leo exclaimed excitedly as he quickly put on his jacket. He grabbed his flashlight and headed out. The forest was quiet and mysterious, but Leo wasn't afraid. He followed the glowing light until he reached a small clearing. There, lying in a crater, was something incredible: a small, glowing star. As Leo approached, the star suddenly moved and began to speak. "Thank you for coming." The star chirped. "I am Stella, and I got lost on my journey through space. Can you help me get home?" Leo was speechless. A talking star. This was even more exciting than he had ever imagined. "Of course I'll help you, Stella. But how do I get you back into space?" Stella glowed a little brighter with joy. "Over there." She pointed with a beam of light at a large rock. When Leo looked closer, he saw a tiny silver rocket half buried in the ground. "I crashed with this rocket. Maybe we can fix it." Leo beamed with excitement. A real rocket. Together, they pulled the rocket out of the ground. It was small, but big enough for Leo and Stella. Some parts were bent, but with a little imagination and skill, Leo repaired the rocket using tools from his treehouse. "Done," Leo shouted after a while. Stella shimmered with happiness. "You're really clever, Leo. Now we can go." Leo climbed into the rocket, sat in the pilot's seat, and Stella floated on the dashboard. She explained the buttons and levers to him, and before he knew it, Stella counted down: 3, 2, 1, lift off. The rocket vibrated and shot into the sky. Leo could hardly believe his eyes as they soared through the atmosphere, and the sky turned pitch black. The stars shone brighter than he had ever seen through his telescope. Stella pointed the way, and soon they were flying through a sea of sparkling lights. But suddenly, something threatening flashed ahead. A massive, shimmering spaceship appeared before them. It looked like a flying octopus, with glowing tentacles slowly moving in their direction. "Those are the Nebula Pirates," Stella whispered anxiously. "They steal stars and imprison them. We can't get caught." Leo gulped. "What should we do?" "Let's fly through the star field." They're too big to follow us in there, Stella suggested. Leo gripped the controls with determination. The rocket sped into a dense tangle of glowing stars. He had to dodge quickly as the pirate's tentacles got closer. But with Stella's help, he managed to slip through the stars until the pirate ship could no longer follow them. That was close, Stella said, relieved. You're a great pilot, Leo. After the adventure, they finally reached a beautiful place in space, Stella's home, the star cluster Lumina. The stars there were in every color of the rainbow, and they danced slowly in the void. Stella began to glow brighter as she saw her friends. Thank you for bringing me back, Leo, said Stella as she hovered in her spot within the star cluster. I would never have made it without you. Leo smiled. I'm going to miss you, Stella. But it was the most exciting adventure of my life. Before Leo returned to the rocket, Stella gave him a small piece of her light. This is for you, Leo. As long as you have it, you'll always find your way to the stars. With a warm feeling in his heart, Leo flew home. When he was back in his bed, he wondered if it had all been a dream. But when he opened his hand, the small light Stella had given him glowed gently. From that day on, Leo knew that the stars weren't as far away as he had always thought. And he knew that one day, he would return there. Until then, he looked at the sky every night and dreamed of new adventures.
High above the earth, where the sky was a canvas of endless blue, a little cloud named Lila was born. She wasn't like the other clouds, who were content to drift lazily and take whatever shape the wind decided. Lila was curious. She wanted to know what lay beyond the horizon, what the world below looked like, and why the sun always smiled so warmly. Why do we just float here all day? Lila asked her cloud friends. Because that's what clouds do, they replied, yawning. But Lila wasn't satisfied. She wanted to explore. One day, a playful wind named Zephyr swept by. Why so glum, little cloud? Zephyr asked. I want to see the world, Lila said, but I don't know how. Zephyr twirled around her. I can help. Hold on tight. With a whoosh, Zephyr lifted Lila and carried her across the sky. For the first time, Lila saw mountains, rivers, and forests far below. Her heart soared with excitement. As they flew, Lila noticed a shimmering rainbow. What's that? She asked. That's the Rainbow Bridge, Zephyr explained. It's made of sunlight and rain, and it holds the colors of the world. Lila drifted closer, fascinated. Can I touch it? Of course, Zephyr said. Lila brushed against the rainbow, and her fluffy white edges turned pastel pink, blue, and yellow. I'm colorful now, she giggled. Suddenly, the sky grew dark. A group of storm clouds rumbled angrily. Who's this little cloud intruding on our territory? One growled. Lila trembled. I didn't mean to bother you. I'm just exploring. The storm clouds grumbled but then softened. Well, don't get in our way. We're busy making rain for the earth below. Lila watched as they released raindrops, watering the fields and forests. She realized even storm clouds had an important job. Zephyr carried Lila lower, closer to the earth. She heard a beautiful sound, a melody of rustling leaves, chirping birds, and bubbling streams. What's that music? Lila asked. That's the forest song, Zephyr said. It's how the trees and animals talk to each other. Lila listened closely, enchanted. She wished she could join in, but clouds couldn't sing. Still, she felt a deep connection to the forest below. Next, they reached a tall, lonely mountain. Why does it look so sad? Lila asked. It's not sad, Zephyr explained. It's just quiet. Mountains are wise and patient. They watch over the world. Lila drifted closer and whispered, Thank you for being so strong. The mountain seemed to smile, its snowy peak glistening in the sunlight. As the day turned to evening, Zephyr brought Lila to the ocean. The waves danced and sparkled, reflecting the colors of the sunset. It's so big, Lila exclaimed. The ocean is full of life, Zephyr said. It's home to fish, whales, and even tiny creatures we can't see. Lila watched in awe as a pod of dolphins leapt out of the water, their laughter echoing in the air. When night fell, Lila gazed at the stars. They're so beautiful, she said. Each star has a story, Zephyr told her. They guide travelers and light up the darkest nights. Lila felt a sense of wonder. She realized the world was full of magic, from the tiniest star to the vastest ocean. As dawn approached, Lila felt a change within her. She grew heavier, filled with tiny raindrops. "What's happening?" she asked. "You're ready to give back," Zephyr said. "Clouds bring rain to help the earth grow." Lila hesitated but then smiled. She released her raindrops, watching them fall onto the meadow below. The flowers bloomed brighter, and the grass grew greener. As the sun rose, Lila felt lighter and happier. She had explored the world, made new friends, and discovered her purpose. "Thank you, Zephyr," she said. "I'll never stop exploring, but now I know I'm part of something bigger." Zephyr twirled around her. "You're a special cloud, Lila. The world is lucky to have you." And so, Lila continued her adventures, always curious, always kind, and always ready to bring a little rain and a lot of joy to the world below.
Once upon a time, there was a little girl named Lily. Lily lived in a small village on the edge of a large, mysterious forest. The forest was dense and dark, and the villagers told many stories about strange creatures and magic that lurked within. But Lily was curious and adventurous. She loved discovering new things and dreamed of one day exploring the forest. One sunny morning, as the birds chirped happily and the flowers bloomed in the garden, Lily decided that the day had come. She packed a small backpack with bread, cheese, and a bottle of water, and set off toward the forest. Her heart pounded with excitement as she reached the first trees. The forest was cool and quiet. Lily walked cautiously, careful not to get lost. After a while, she discovered a narrow path leading deeper into the forest. She followed it and soon found herself in a beautiful, enchanted part of the woods. The trees here were taller, and the leaves glowed in all the colors of the rainbow. A soft murmur of water made her pause. She followed the sound and found a small stream with crystal-clear water. As Lily bent down to take a drink, she noticed something shiny on the stream's bank. It was a small silver key. Curious, she picked it up and examined it closely. It looked very old and was intricately decorated. Lily wondered what this key might unlock. Maybe there's a door it opens, she thought, and decided to keep searching. As she walked along the path, she discovered a large oak tree with a small door in its trunk. "This must be it!" she exclaimed excitedly, and pulled out the key. It fit perfectly, and the door opened with a soft click. Behind it was a staircase leading deep into the earth. Lily took a deep breath and cautiously descended. At the bottom of the stairs, she found herself in an underground cave illuminated by sparkling crystals. In the center of the cave stood a large stone table with an old scroll on it. Lily picked up the scroll and carefully unrolled it. It read, "Those who find the key are chosen to guard the forest's secret. Follow the sparkling crystals and discover the magic hidden deep within." Lily looked around and noticed that the crystals in the cave formed a shimmering path. She followed it and soon came to a large lake, whose water glowed an eerie green. On the shore stood a beautiful woman with long golden hair and a dress that seemed to be made of leaves and flowers. "Welcome, Lily," said the woman in a gentle voice. "I am Flora, the guardian of the forest. You have found the key and thus have the right to learn our secrets. This forest is full of magic and wonders, but with this magic comes responsibility. We need your help to protect the forest." Lily nodded respectfully. "What can I do?" Flora smiled. "There is a dark power trying to steal the forest's magic. An evil wizard named Mortis has discovered that the forest holds magical powers, and he wants to use them for himself. You must stop him before it's too late." Lily felt courage rising within her. "I will do what I can," she said determinedly. Flora handed her a small golden compass. "This compass will guide you. It will show you the way to Mortis' lair. Be careful and trust your instincts." Lily took the compass and set off. The compass led her through dense woods, over bubbling streams, and finally to a dark cave from which an eerie light shone. With a pounding heart, she entered and saw Mortis, who was just preparing a powerful spell. "Stop!" Lily shouted bravely. "I will not let you steal the forest's magic." Mortis turned and laughed scornfully. "And who will stop me? A little girl?" But Lily was not intimidated. She remembered Flora's words and held the compass tightly in her hand. Suddenly, the compass began to glow, and a powerful energy flowed through Lily. With a powerful shout, she directed this energy at Mortis, who immediately froze and could no longer continue his spell. "That's impossible," he gasped before disappearing in a cloud of black smoke. Relieved, Lily sank to her knees. She had done it. She had saved the forest. When she returned, she was greeted by Flora and the other magical creatures of the forest with cheers. "You have saved us all, Lily," Flora said gratefully. "You are a true heroine." Lily smiled modestly. "I just did what I could. The forest is a wonderful place and deserves to be protected." From that day on, Lily was not just a simple girl from the village. She was the protector of the magical forest, the brave heroine who had saved the forest from evil. And so she lived happily and had many more adventures, always in harmony with the forest's magic. And if she hasn't died, she still lives today, always ready to protect the forest and preserve its secrets. The Adventures of Luna and the Enchanted Forest. Once upon a time, there was a little girl named Luna, who lived in a picturesque village on the edge of an enchanted forest. Luna was curious and lively, and her sparkling eyes shone like the stars in the night sky. She had a special connection to nature, and loved exploring the enchanted forest that stretched just behind her house. One day, as Luna wandered through the forest, she heard a faint sobbing. Intrigued, she followed the sound and discovered a sad, old owl named Oliver. The owl perched on a branch, tears in its eyes. "Why are you crying, Oliver?" Luna asked compassionately. The owl sighed and explained that the enchanted forest was in danger. The trees and animals were sad because the people in the village were not taking good care of nature. Luna felt that she had to do something to save her beloved enchanted forest. Determined, Luna set out to talk to the adults in the village. She shared her encounter with the weeping owl and pleaded with the people to protect nature. Some listened to her, but many just laughed, saying that environmental protection was not their concern. Undeterred, Luna decided to save the enchanted forest, even if she had to do it alone. With a radiant smile on her face, she returned to the forest to devise a plan. During the night, Luna was visited by a mysterious figure named Forest Spirit. The Forest Spirit was a friendly being who protected nature. He explained to Luna that she possessed magical powers to save the enchanted forest. Luna received a magic wand that had the power to touch the hearts of people and open them to environmental protection. The next day, Luna returned to the village with determination. With her magic wand, she spoke of the wonders of the enchanted forest and showed people how important it was to protect nature. Slowly but surely, the hearts of the people began to open. They started avoiding litter, planting trees, and respecting the animals. Luna and the villagers organized joint activities, such as environmental cleanups, tree plantings, and educational campaigns. The enchanted forest recovered, and the animals were joyful once again. Luna became the heroine of the village, realizing that even small individuals could bring about significant changes. One day, as Luna strolled through the enchanted forest, she encountered Oliver, the owl. This time its eyes sparkled with joy. "Thanks to you, Luna, the enchanted forest is saved. You have shown that love for nature is more powerful than any darkness," said the owl. Luna smiled modestly, realizing that the enchanted forest was saved not only by her magical powers, but mostly by the community and their love for nature. The enchanted forest flourished, and the people in the village learned an important lesson: that everyone has a role to play in environmental protection. The adventures of Luna and the enchanted forest spread far beyond the village. Other communities heard Luna's story and were inspired to advocate for environmental protection. The enchanted forest became a symbol of the power of community and the influence of each individual. And so, Luna, the villagers, and the animals of the enchanted forest lived happily and in harmony with nature. Luna had proven that sometimes the greatest changes can come from the smallest heroes. The enchanted forest was not only saved, but also became a place of love, respect, and unity.
Lila was a little lighthouse who stood on the edge of a rocky cliff, overlooking the vast, sparkling ocean. Every night, she would shine her bright light to guide ships safely to shore. But during the day, when her light wasn't needed, Lila felt lonely. The other lighthouses were far away, and the seagulls who flew by were always too busy to stop and chat. If only I had a friend, Lila sighed, her light flickering softly. She watched the waves roll in and out, wondering if she would ever find someone to share her days with. One stormy night, the wind howled, and the waves roared like angry giants. Lila's light worked extra hard to cut through the rain and darkness. Suddenly, she spotted a small fishing boat struggling against the waves. The boat was being tossed around like a leaf in the wind, and Lila knew it was in trouble. "I have to help," she thought, shining her light as brightly as she could. The beam cut through the storm, creating a path of safety. The boat, named Benny, was scared but determined. "I just need to follow the light," Benny said to himself, steering toward Lila's beam. With every flash of her light, Benny felt a little safer. Slowly but surely, he made his way closer to the shore. The storm raged on, but Benny held on tight, trusting Lila's light to guide him. Finally, after what felt like hours, he reached the safety of the cove near Lila's cliff. When the storm finally passed, Benny found himself in a quiet cove near Lila's cliff. "Thank you for saving me," Benny said, his voice filled with gratitude. Lila's light glowed warmly. "I'm just glad you're safe. I've never had a friend before." Benny smiled. "Well, you have one now." From that day on, Benny visited Lila every morning. He would tell her stories about his adventures at sea, and Lila would share what she had seen from her perch on the cliff. One sunny morning, Benny invited Lila to explore the shore with him. "I can't move," Lila said sadly. "I'm rooted to this cliff." "That's okay," Benny said. "I'll bring the shore to you." He sailed along the coast, collecting seashells, shiny rocks, and even a piece of sea glass. When he returned, he placed the treasures at the base of the cliff. "Now you have a piece of the beach with you," Benny said. Lila's light sparkled with joy. "It's beautiful." "Thank you, Benny." One day, Benny found a starfish named Stella stuck in a tide pool. "I got separated from my family during the storm," Stella explained. "I don't know how to get back to the ocean." Benny and Lila decided to help. Lila shone her light on the tide pool, while Benny used a small bucket to carefully carry Stella to the water's edge. "Thank you both so much," Stella said as she slipped into the ocean. "If you ever need help, just call for me." Benny and Lila watched as Stella disappeared beneath the waves. "It feels good to help others," Lila said, her light glowing with happiness. A few days later, a thick fog rolled in, covering the ocean like a heavy blanket. Lila's light couldn't shine as far as usual, and Benny worried about getting lost. "What if another boat needs help?" Lila asked anxiously. Just then, a soft blue light appeared in the water. It was Stella. "I heard you needed help," she said. "My family and I can light the way." With Stella's glow and Lila's beam, the fog was no match. Together, they guided Benny and other boats safely to shore. From that day on, Lila was never lonely. She had Benny, Stella, and all the sea creatures who visited her cliff. She realized that even though she couldn't move, she could still make a big difference in the world. And so, Lila the little lighthouse continued to shine her light, knowing that she was loved and appreciated by her friends.
A sunny morning dawned over the small village on the edge of the forest, when the stork parents Clara and Friedrich woke up and realized that today was a very special day. The sun was shining golden through the treetops, and the sky was as blue as the clear lake that stretched out at the foot of the village. Clara and Friedrich were not alone. In their large nest on the high chimney of the old farmhouse lay 3 eggs, which were carefully incubated by Clara. The anticipation of the 2 storks was almost palpable when they knew that their little chicks would soon hatch. The day passed slowly while Clara sat patiently on her eggs, and Friedrich patrolled the skies above the village to make sure there was no danger. The other animals of the forest went about their daily business and watched intently at the stork's nest, where new life would soon awaken. Finally, as the sun slowly sank behind the hills and the world was bathed in soft evening light, Clara and Friedrich heard a soft knocking from inside the eggshells. The time had come. Clara gasped with excitement as she carefully cracked the eggs with her beak, and saw the little beaks and tiny eyes of her chicks for the first time. The first to hatch from its egg was a delicate gray chick with an unmistakable hint of pink on its soft feathers. Clara and Friedrich called him Felix. The second chick that followed was slightly larger and stronger, with a feathery fluff of white and black feathers. They called her Frida. And finally, after Clara and Friedrich had waited patiently, the third chick, the smallest of them all, hatched from its egg with a cheerful peep. They named her Flora. The stork family was now complete, and Clara and Friedrich looked with love and pride at their 3 little chicks, who now gathered around them in their nest. The next few days were full of activity as Clara and Friedrich fed their chicks, protected them from danger, and taught them to stretch their little wings and stand on their legs. Felix, the oldest and most curious of the siblings, was always the first to venture out of the nest. He practiced flying diligently by spreading his wings and waving them in the wind, sometimes landing a little unsteadily, but always standing up again with a beaming smile on his beak. Frida was the bravest of the siblings. She was always the first to try new adventures and encourage the others to come along. She explored the forest on the edge of the village and found the most beautiful flowers and the best hiding places. Flora was the smallest, but also the smartest chick. She watched carefully as her parents flew and landed and imitated their movements. Although she sometimes had difficulty keeping up with her siblings, she practiced patiently and became more and more adept over time. The days passed and the 3 siblings grew up quickly, while Clara and Friedrich lovingly cared for them and taught them everything they needed to know about life as a stork. Autumn soon arrived and the air became cooler as the leaves turned bright colors and fell from the trees. It was time for the stork family to prepare for their big journey. Every year in the fall, the storks set off on the long flight to warmer climes to escape the cold winter months. Clara and Friedrich knew that it was important to teach their children how to prepare for the long journey. With heavy hearts, Clara and Friedrich said goodbye to their beloved nest and flew off into the sky together with Felix, Frida, and Flora. They flew over forests and fields, over rivers and mountains, and the little storks marveled at the beauty of the world below. The journey was long and exhausting, but the stork family never gave up. They supported each other when one of them got tired, and motivated each other to keep going. Eventually, they reached their destination, a warm place where they could spend the winter until it was time to return in spring. There, in their winter roost, the stork family spent happy days together as they rested and recharged their batteries for their return. Felix, Frida, and Flora learned a lot about the world around them and about themselves as they enjoyed the long winter months. When spring arrived and the days grew longer again, the stork family knew it was time to return home. With a sense of anticipation and adventure, Clara, Friedrich, and their 3 children set off and flew back towards their beloved village on the edge of the forest. When they finally flew over the village, they saw the old farmhouse with the tall chimney and the familiar nest perched on top of it. Clara and Friedrich were relieved to return home, and Felix, Frida, and Flora were excited to see all their friends and familiar places again. The nest on the old chimney was still there, warm and cozy, ready to welcome the stork family. Clara and Friedrich landed gently next to their 3 children and embraced them with their mighty wings. The stork family was finally reunited, and they knew that no matter where life might take them, they would always stick together, like a family, strong and inseparable. And so Clara, Friedrich, Felix, Frida, and Flora lived happily ever after, full of adventure and love, in their cozy nest at the edge of the forest. The Enchanted Garden. Once upon a time in a quaint little village, there lived a young girl named Lily. She was known throughout the village for her boundless kindness and her love for everything that grew. But there was something truly remarkable about Lily. She had a magical garden. This garden was hidden behind her modest home. Every day, Lily would spend hours tending to her beloved flowers, vegetables, and fruits. The garden was a vibrant oasis, teeming with colors and life. Butterflies danced through the air, birds sang melodious tunes, and bees buzzed from one bloom to another. However, it wasn't just the beauty of the garden that captivated the village, it was the love that Lily poured into it. Lily had a secret, one that she only shared with her closest friends. She believed that love had the power to make things grow, not just in a metaphorical sense, but in a magical one as well. She believed in the magic of love, and her garden was proof of it. The flowers were brighter, the fruits were sweeter, and the vegetables were more nourishing than any other in the land. One warm spring morning, as Lily was tending to her garden, she spotted a tiny, fragile plant peeking out from the earth. It was unlike any plant she had ever seen before, with delicate, heart-shaped leaves and petals as soft as velvet. Lily decided to call it the love blossom. She could feel an unusual warmth radiating from the plant, and she knew that it was special. Lily cared for the love blossom as if it were her dearest friend. She watered it with love, sang songs to it, and shared her hopes and dreams. In return, the love blossom flourished. Its petals grew even more vibrant, and its fragrance was sweeter than any flower in the garden. Lily was convinced that her love was making it grow, and her heart swelled with happiness. News of the love blossom spread throughout the village, and people came from far and wide to see the enchanting plant. They were in awe of its beauty and the love that radiated from it. But no one could make it bloom quite like Lily. One day, as Lily was admiring her garden, a young boy named Max came to visit. Max had heard about the love blossom and was curious to see it for himself. When he arrived at Lily's garden, he was stunned by the beauty of the love blossom and the vibrant colors surrounding it. Lily noticed Max and greeted him with a warm smile. "Hello, there. Are you here to see the love blossom?" she asked. Max nodded and replied, "Yes, I've heard so much about it. It's even more beautiful than I imagined." Lily couldn't help but notice the sadness in Max's eyes. "Is something troubling you, young man?" Max sighed and said, "I've been searching for something for a long time, something I lost. I thought maybe the love blossom could help me find it." Lily was intrigued. "What is it that you've lost, Max?" Max hesitated for a moment before opening up. "I lost my family. They left me when I was very young, and I've been alone ever since. I've heard that the love blossom has the power to bring love and happiness to those who find it." Lily's heart went out to Max. She believed that love had the power to heal and bring happiness, just as it had transformed her garden. She looked at the love blossom and then back at Max. "Max, I can't promise miracles, but I believe that love is a powerful force. Would you like to spend some time with the love blossom and see if it brings you any closer to what you seek?" Max's eyes lit up with hope. "I'd love to, Lily. Thank you." Lily and Max spent the day together in the garden, talking and sharing their stories. Max watered the love blossom with care, just as Lily did. As the sun began to set, they sat beside the love blossom, and something magical happened. The love blossom began to glow with a soft, warm light, and its petals started to open. Lily and Max watched in amazement as the love blossom bloomed before their eyes, revealing a radiant heart-shaped flower. The fragrance it emitted was so sweet and comforting that it filled their hearts with a sense of love and belonging. Tears welled up in Max's eyes as he felt a deep sense of warmth and love. He realized that he had found what he had been searching for all along, a sense of family, of love and belonging with Lily and the love blossom. As the days turned into weeks, Max became a part of Lily's life. He helped her tend to the garden, and he, too, sang to the love blossom and shared his dreams and hopes. The love blossom, in return, continued to bloom and spread its enchanting fragrance, bringing happiness and a sense of togetherness to everyone who visited the garden. The love blossom became a symbol of hope and love in the village, a place where people could find solace, inspiration, and a sense of belonging. The once lonely boy, Max, had found a family in Lily and the magical love blossom. Their love had not only made the garden bloom but had also transformed their lives, filling their hearts with joy and love. And so, the village learned a valuable lesson from Lily, Max, and the love blossom, that love is indeed a powerful force that can bring happiness, healing, and a sense of family to those who believe in its magic. The enchanted garden became a place of love and wonder, where all who entered left with their hearts full of hope and their spirits lifted by the power of love.
The Enchanted Woods. Once upon a time, in a small village hidden deep in the woods, there was a mysterious and eerie place known as the Enchanted Woods. It was said that strange things happened there when the moon was high in the sky and the wind whispered through the trees like ghostly murmurs. A group of brave children named Alex, Emily, and Ryan decided to venture into the Enchanted Woods one night during a full moon. They wanted to prove their courage and uncover the secrets that lay hidden in its dark recesses. Armed with a lantern and their friendship, they embarked on this eerie adventure. As they ventured deeper into the woods, the trees seemed to grow taller and closer together, forming a sinister canopy above them. The sounds of nocturnal creatures filled the air, creating an unsettling symphony that sent shivers down their spines. But the children pressed on, eager to unravel the mysteries of the forest. Suddenly, they heard a faint and haunting melody echoing through the woods. It was a soft and melancholic tune that seemed to come from nowhere. The children came to a halt, their hearts pounding with fear. Yet, curiosity led them to follow the melody further into the forest. The haunting melody led them to a clearing where an old, abandoned mansion stood. Its windows were shattered, and its walls were covered in ivy, giving it a ghostly appearance. As they approached the mansion, the melody grew louder and more unnerving. Hesitant but determined, the children entered the mansion. Inside, they discovered dusty furniture draped with cobwebs, along with faded paintings of long-forgotten individuals. The melody seemed to come from an old piano in a corner of the room, but no one was playing. As they stood there, mesmerized by the eerie melody, the room suddenly grew colder. The lantern's flame flickered in the icy breeze. Alex, the bravest of the three, summoned his courage to approach the piano. He reached out to touch the keys, and the music abruptly ceased. Just as relief washed over them, a ghostly figure materialized before their eyes. It was a young girl, dressed in a torn pale blue gown. Her eyes were hollow, and her skin as pale as the moonlight. The children stepped back in fear, but the ghostly girl didn't appear threatening. Instead, she seemed sad and lost. She gestured for them to come closer, and with trembling legs, they obliged. "I've been trapped here for so long," whispered the ghostly girl. "I can't find my way home. Can you help me?" The children felt compassion for the lost soul. They promised to help her find her way home, wherever that might be. Guided by the ghostly girl, they delved deeper into the mansion and uncovered her tragic story. Long ago, the mansion was the home of Emily Turner, a kind-hearted young girl. She loved playing the piano and entertaining guests with her beautiful melodies. However, envy consumed a jealous neighbor, who cursed Emily with a spell that trapped her soul within the mansion forever. Determined to break the curse, the children set out to find the neighbor's hidden journal, which contained the reversal of the spell. They faced numerous challenges, encountered more ghosts, and solved riddles left behind by the envious neighbor. Finally, after hours of searching, they found the journal and recited the reversal spell. The mansion trembled as the curse was broken, and the ghostly girl, Emily Turner, was finally set free. With heartfelt gratitude, Emily vanished into the night, and the children returned home with their hearts filled with joy and accomplishment. From that day on, the Enchanted Woods were no longer a place of fear but a symbol of their courage and friendship. And every time they passed by the old mansion, they heard soft piano notes playing a beautiful melody that spoke of hope and the enduring power of friendship. Thus, the children's chilling adventure in the Enchanted Woods became a story of bravery and compassion, passed down from generation to generation, reminding them that even the most frightening places can hide the most comforting secrets.
In a small village called Oakwood, surrounded by dense, ancient trees and gentle hills, lived a young man named Ethan. Oakwood was a peaceful place where people knew each other, and life flowed in harmonious tranquility. But Ethan was different. He had an insatiable yearning for something he couldn't name, a constant pull in his chest that kept him awake at night and occupied his thoughts during the day. One evening, as the sun disappeared behind the hills and the sky turned a deep blue, Ethan heard a soft, melancholic tune. It was barely more than a whisper in the wind, but it was there. Curious and fascinated, he followed the melody, which led him deeper into the forest than he had ever ventured before. The trees seemed alive, their branches like arms reaching out to him. After a while, he reached a clearing he had never seen before. In the center stood an old, dilapidated cabin, surrounded by wildflowers and creeping ivy. The song was now clearer and seemed to come directly from the cabin. Cautiously, Ethan stepped closer and opened the creaking door. Inside, it was dark, with only a faint beam of light coming through a broken window, illuminating a dusty grand piano. The keys were worn, but still in good condition. Ethan sat down, his fingers trembling with excitement and nervousness. As soon as he touched the keys, he felt a strange connection to the instrument. It was as if the piano could read his thoughts, responding to his touch. He began to play, and to his surprise, he knew the melody he had never heard before. It flowed through him, his fingers moving as if on their own. Suddenly, he was no longer in the cabin. He found himself on a stage, before an audience of shadows. The music seemed to transform the world around him, the darkness giving way to a soft, warm light. The shadows turned into figures who smiled at him and applauded. In their eyes, he saw stories and memories that felt oddly familiar. As the last echo of the song faded, Ethan found himself back in the cabin. The figures had vanished, but the feeling of connection remained. He knew he had experienced something extraordinary, something that would change his life forever. With a newfound purpose, he left the cabin and returned to Oakwood. In the following days, Ethan couldn't stop thinking about the melody and the figures. He felt that the song told a story he needed to decipher. He began researching in the village, collecting old legends and stories. The villagers were surprised by his interest, as no one had mentioned the old tales in years. But gradually, the memories resurfaced. An old woman named Martha told him about a musician who had lived in Oakwood many years ago. He was known for his extraordinary abilities and melancholic melodies. People said he had the gift of touching people's souls with his music, revealing their deepest secrets. But one day, he disappeared without a trace, taking with him his piece known as the Forgotten Song. Ethan knew he had to unravel the mystery of this musician. He returned to the cabin and spent hours playing the piano, perfecting the melody. Each note seemed to give him a new clue, revealing another piece of the puzzle. He began writing down the melody and discovered hidden messages and symbols within it. One night, as he played, a figure appeared at the cabin door. It was the musician Martha had described, but he was no longer flesh and blood. He was a ghost, trapped between worlds. Ethan felt no fear, only a deep sense of connection. The ghost smiled and nodded to him in approval. The musician told him his story, how he had composed the song to find lost souls and bring them peace. But he had become a lost soul himself, trapped in the melody he had created. He asked Ethan to finish the song and set his soul free. Ethan promised and spent the next days and nights completing the song. He played it repeatedly until he mastered every note, every pause, every nuance. When he played the melody for the last time, something wondrous happened. The cabin began to glow, and the musician's figure became clearer. With a final, grateful look, the ghost dissolved and disappeared. Ethan felt a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing he had done the right thing. He returned to Oakwood, but he was no longer the same. The melody was now a part of him, and he knew he had to carry on the musician's gift. He began playing in the village, his music filling the hearts of the people with comfort and joy. The story of Ethan and the Forgotten Song spread, and soon people from far and wide came to hear his music. The melody, once just a whisper in the wind, became a symbol of hope and peace. Ethan knew that the connection he felt with the old musician would never end. As long as he played, the Forgotten Song lived on, reminding people that even in the deepest darkness, a spark of light existed. And so, Ethan stayed in Oakwood, his heart and soul filled with the music born in an old, dilapidated cabin. The villagers called him the soul musician, and his melodies became a cherished part of their lives. Oakwood thrived, becoming a place where people found refuge and solace, guided by the gentle strains of the Forgotten Song. The Forgotten Symphony. Once upon a time, in a quaint little town nestled between rolling hills and a shimmering lake, there lived a reclusive musician named Edgar. Edgar was an enigmatic figure who rarely left his cottage at the edge of town. He was known to be a brilliant composer and pianist in his youth, but as the years passed, he withdrew from the world, leaving behind a legacy of hauntingly beautiful music and unanswered questions. The townspeople would occasionally catch glimpses of Edgar through his cottage window, hunched over his piano, his long, unkempt hair falling over his face as he played. He had become a mystery, a legend, and the subject of countless rumors. One day, a young girl named Amelia, with a heart full of curiosity and a love for music, decided to unravel the mystery of Edgar. She had heard the stories of his brilliance and the sorrow that seemed to envelop him like a shroud. She couldn't resist the lure of discovering the truth behind the reclusive musician. Amelia approached the cottage with cautious steps, her heart pounding in her chest. She knocked softly on the door, and after a moment, it creaked open. Edgar stood in the doorway, his eyes hidden behind a curtain of hair. His pale face was etched with lines of sorrow, and his clothes were threadbare. "Hello," Amelia said gently. "My name is Amelia, and I've heard about your music. It's said to be the most beautiful in the world." Edgar regarded her with a mixture of surprise and suspicion. "Who are you, and what do you want?" "I want to learn from you," Amelia replied. "I want to understand your music, the stories it tells, and the emotions it conveys. Will you teach me?" Edgar hesitated for a moment, then stepped aside, allowing Amelia to enter his dimly lit cottage. The air was thick with the scent of old books and aging wood. The walls were lined with sheet music, and the piano in the corner seemed to whisper tales of a bygone era. "Sit," Edgar said, gesturing to a worn-out armchair. I will play for you, and you will decide if you truly wish to learn. Amelia watched in awe as Edgar's fingers glided over the piano keys. His music was haunting, filled with longing and sorrow, but also with moments of transcendent beauty. As she listened, tears welled up in her eyes, and she knew that she had found something extraordinary. For days and weeks, Amelia returned to Edgar's cottage, learning the secrets of his compositions. She discovered that each piece was inspired by a chapter of his life, filled with joy, heartache, and the deepest of emotions. As the music flowed through her, she felt a deep connection with the reclusive musician, and it seemed as if they were both on a journey of healing and rediscovery. Amelia's visits began to draw the attention of the townspeople, who had long given up on trying to unravel Edgar's mystery. They watched from a distance as the young girl and the old musician formed an unlikely bond. The music that emanated from Edgar's cottage became a source of wonder and inspiration for the entire town. As the seasons changed, so did Edgar. He no longer hid behind his curtain of hair, and a hint of a smile occasionally graced his lips. Amelia's presence had breathed life back into his world, and he began to share stories of his youth, the love he had lost, and the dreams he had once held. One evening, under the silver light of the moon, Amelia and Edgar decided to perform a concert in the town square. The townspeople gathered, their curiosity piqued by the transformation of the reclusive musician. As Amelia played the piano and Edgar conducted, the music they created together was nothing short of magical. The symphony that flowed from their hearts seemed to bridge the gap between past and present, sorrow and joy, loneliness and connection. It was a symphony that spoke of redemption, of the power of music to heal, and of the beauty that could emerge from the darkest corners of the soul. As the final notes of their performance hung in the air, the townspeople erupted into applause, their hearts moved by the music and the story it told. Edgar and Amelia took a bow, their eyes locked in a shared moment of triumph and renewal. In the months that followed, Edgar's cottage became a place of joy and music. He and Amelia continued to compose together, creating a symphony of life that resonated not only with the people of the town but also with their own hearts. Edgar's reclusive existence had been transformed into a vibrant and meaningful life once more. And so, the legend of the reclusive musician, Edgar, evolved from one of mystery and sorrow into one of hope and inspiration. His music, once forgotten, now echoed through the hearts of those who had the privilege of hearing it, reminding them of the power of connection, the healing embrace of music, and the beauty that could emerge from the depths of the human spirit. The story of the orca and the blue whale. Once upon a time, in the vast and mysterious depths of the ocean, two unlikely friends embarked on an extraordinary adventure. Kaida, a young and adventurous orca, lived among her pod in the chilly waters of the North Pacific. She was known for her insatiable curiosity and her unquenchable thirst for exploration. Then there was Thalassa, a gentle and wise blue whale who roamed the open oceans, his massive frame gliding gracefully through the water. One day, their paths crossed in a way that neither of them could have ever anticipated. It all started when Kaida was chasing a school of herring near the surface of the ocean. She leapt out of the water with a spectacular breach, her sleek black and white body glistening in the sunlight. As she crashed back into the sea, a mighty splash erupted around her, creating a wave that rippled across the surface. Unbeknownst to her, Thalassa was swimming peacefully nearby, his enormous body submerged beneath the waves. The sudden disturbance sent Thalassa's senses into a frenzy. He opened his massive eye and peered curiously at the commotion above. What he saw amazed him, a young orca, full of energy and life, leaping and playing with an exuberance that was infectious. Thalassa had seen many creatures in his long life, but he had never encountered an orca quite like Kaida. Kaida, not realizing she had an audience, continued to dance in the water, her playful spirit driving her to new heights. As she breached once more, she noticed the colossal blue whale watching her with a mix of wonder and amusement. Her heart skipped a beat, and she couldn't resist the opportunity to introduce herself. With a graceful dive, Kaida descended towards Thalassa. She swam around him, her agile body weaving through the water, and then she greeted him with a friendly flip of her tail. "Hello there, big guy. I'm Kaida, the most adventurous orca you'll ever meet." Thalassa's deep voice rumbled through the water. "Greetings, Kaida. I am Thalassa, a humble wanderer of the oceans. Your acrobatics are truly impressive." Kaida beamed with delight. "Thank you, Thalassa. I've never met a blue whale before. You're enormous. What's it like to be the biggest creature in the ocean?" Thalassa chuckled softly, sending vibrations through the water that Kaida could feel in her bones. Being large has its advantages, young one. I can travel great distances with ease, and I've seen many wonders during my long journey. But size alone doesn't make one truly great. It's the experiences and friendships that enrich our lives. Kaida was captivated by Thalas's wisdom. She couldn't help but feel a connection with this gentle giant. Would you be willing to show me some of those wonders, Thalassa? I've always dreamed of exploring beyond our pod's territory. Thalassa considered the request for a moment before answering. I believe we can embark on a journey together, Kaida, but it won't be without its challenges. The open ocean can be both beautiful and unforgiving. Are you prepared for such an adventure? Kaida's eyes sparkled with excitement. I'm ready for anything, Thalassa. Let's go on this epic adventure together. And so, their friendship and adventure began. Thalassa and Kaida set off across the vast expanse of the ocean, exploring the wonders that lay beneath the surface and sharing stories of their respective worlds. Kaida learned about the mysterious songs of the humpback whales and the hidden caves that served as shelters for countless sea creatures. Thalassa marveled at Kaida's hunting skills and her deep understanding of the ocean's currents. As they journeyed together, they encountered all manner of marine life. They swam with playful dolphins, witnessed the mesmerizing dance of bioluminescent creatures in the depths, and even encountered a curious octopus who amused them with its shape-shifting abilities. But their adventures weren't without challenges. They faced treacherous storms that tested their strength and resilience. They encountered a pod of aggressive sharks that threatened to harm Kaida, but Thalassa's sheer size and power frightened them away. Through it all, their bond grew stronger, and they learned to rely on each other's strengths. One day, as they swam through a dense kelp forest, they stumbled upon an injured sea turtle tangled in a web of seaweed. Kaida and Thalassa worked together to carefully free the turtle, and in gratitude, the turtle shared a secret with them, a hidden underwater cavern filled with breathtaking coral reefs, colorful fish, and ancient shipwrecks. It was a place of unparalleled beauty that few had ever seen. As they explored the hidden cavern, Kaida and Thalassa felt a profound sense of wonder and gratitude for the ocean that had brought them together. They knew that their friendship was a rare and precious gift, and they vowed to protect the ocean and all its inhabitants for generations to come. Their adventures continued, taking them to distant shores, through deep trenches, and into the heart of the ocean's mysteries. Kaida and Thalassa became legendary figures in the underwater world, known not only for their incredible journeys but also for their unwavering friendship. And so, the orca and the blue whale, two seemingly different creatures, proved that friendship could transcend boundaries and create a bond as deep and boundless as the ocean itself. Together, they explored the wonders of the sea, inspiring all who crossed their path with the enduring power of friendship and the magic of the ocean. The galactic quest of Benny and Luna. Once upon a time in a quiet suburban neighborhood, there lived two adventurous friends, Benny and Luna. These two kids had a reputation for being the most imaginative in the entire town. Every summer, they embarked on incredible journeys in their minds, fueled by the sci-fi books they read and the endless nights spent gazing at the stars. This summer was going to be their most extraordinary adventure yet. It all began one evening as Benny and Luna sat in Benny's treehouse, their favorite spot for planning their escapades. Benny was a young boy with wild, curly hair and a pair of glasses that constantly slid down his nose. Luna, on the other hand, was a daring and free-spirited girl with a penchant for colorful scarves. Benny, you know, I've been thinking, Luna said, her eyes fixed on the night sky. What if we could travel through the galaxy? Just imagine all the alien worlds and strange creatures we could discover. Benny's eyes widened, and he nodded enthusiastically. That would be amazing, Luna. But how would we do that? Luna leaned in closer, her voice barely above a whisper. I found something in one of my uncle's old science books. It's a blueprint for a space-time machine. If we can build it, we might be able to travel anywhere in the universe. Benny's heart raced with excitement. He loved the idea, but he couldn't help but worry. But where will we get the materials to build this machine, Luna? And what if it's too complicated? Luna grinned, her eyes sparkling with determination. We'll figure it out together, Benny. I believe in us. With teamwork and a touch of imagination, we can accomplish anything. The two friends spent weeks researching and gathering materials. They scoured garage sales, raided junkyards, and begged neighbors for any scrap they could find. With the help of Benny's dad, they constructed the space-time machine in his garage. It was a peculiar-looking contraption with flashing lights, levers, and a rotating disc at the center. Finally, the day came when they were ready to test their invention. Benny and Luna climbed into the machine and buckled themselves in, their hearts pounding with excitement. Luna adjusted the coordinates while Benny pulled the lever. The machine hummed to life, and suddenly, they were hurtling through the galaxy. Their first stop was a vibrant, jungle-like planet called Zerblat. Its sky was a mesmerizing shade of green, and the trees had shimmering leaves that sang when the wind rustled through them. They met a friendly, four-armed creature named Glip who taught them to swing from vines and communicate with the local wildlife. Next, they visited the floating city of Nebulon, a bustling metropolis that hovered in the clouds. Luna and Benny marveled at the anti-gravity technology and indulged in cotton candy that never melted. They made friends with the residents, who had wings like birds and zipped around the city effortlessly. Their journey continued to the underwater city of Aquaria, where they befriended a race of merfolk. They explored ancient shipwrecks, rode on the backs of giant sea turtles, and learned to communicate through an intricate dance of light and color. As they traveled from one fantastical world to another, Benny and Luna realized that their space-time machine not only allowed them to explore different places but also to make friends with beings from all walks of life. They were learning about acceptance, understanding, and unity. However, every adventure must have its challenges. One day, their space-time machine malfunctioned on the desert planet of Pyros. The scorching sun beat down mercilessly, and they found themselves stranded with no way to return home. Benny and Luna were discouraged, but they knew that giving up was not an option. They sought help from the locals, a resourceful group of lizard-like creatures. These friendly creatures repaired their machine, but in return, Benny and Luna had to help the Pyrosians solve a water crisis. Together, they built a system to collect and purify water from underground reservoirs, saving the planet from drought. Grateful for the help, the Pyrosians invited Benny and Luna to stay and celebrate with them. They danced under the stars to the rhythmic beat of drums, sharing stories and laughter. It was a beautiful night, and they realized that even in the face of adversity, they could make a difference and forge connections with those they met. With their space-time machine repaired, Benny and Luna continued their galactic quest. They visited countless planets, each with its unique wonders and challenges, but they faced them all with courage, imagination, and friendship. Finally, after a summer filled with incredible adventures, Benny and Luna returned home. Their hearts were full, and their minds were bursting with the memories of the worlds they had seen and the friends they had made. Their extraordinary journey had taught them that the universe was vast and full of wonder, but what truly mattered were the connections they made along the way. As they sat in Benny's treehouse one last time, gazing at the stars, they knew that even though their space-time machine was back in the garage, their adventures were far from over. With imagination and friendship as their compass, Benny and Luna would continue exploring the infinite possibilities of the universe, one adventure at a time. And so, in the heart of their quiet suburban neighborhood, two kids with wild dreams and boundless imaginations continued their cosmic journey, reminding everyone that the universe is only as small as the limits of one's imagination. The gift-giving miracle. It was the 24th of December, a cold winter evening, and the streets were covered with a thin layer of snow. In a small snowy village lived a boy named Luke. Luke was a curious and adventurous boy, who was always on the lookout for new escapades. On this special evening, Luke could hardly sit still with excitement. The lights of festively decorated houses reflected in the snow, and everywhere, you could hear laughter and anticipation for the upcoming celebration. Yet, Luke felt that this Christmas Eve was going to be something extraordinary. As Luke strolled through the village, he spotted a mysterious path he had never seen before. The trees lining the path were adorned with sparkling lights, turning the way into a magical spectacle. Curiosity getting the better of him, Luke decided to follow this path. The further he went, the denser the forest around him became. The snow crunched under his boots, and the air was filled with the scent of pine. Suddenly, Luke caught sight of a clearing, where a magnificent snow-covered house stood. This house was unlike the others in the village. It seemed like something out of a fairy tale, with glistening windows and a warm light shining through the curtains. Luke approached hesitantly, and finally dared to open the heavy wooden door. Upon entering, he was engulfed by a wave of warmth and light. In the center of the room stood a large decorated Christmas tree, its lights illuminating the presents beneath it. However, the most astonishing thing was that no one seemed to be in the room. Suddenly, Luke heard a faint rustling behind him. He turned around to see a group of tiny elves busily wrapping gifts. In the corner of the room, Santa Claus sat, cheerfully exclaiming, "Ho ho ho! You've found the secret path, my boy," Santa said with a smile. "Welcome to my workshop. Here we prepare gifts for all the good children." Luke could hardly believe his luck. He got to watch Santa and his elves at work and even help out. Together, they wrapped gifts, decorated the tree, and sang cheerful Christmas carols. Luke felt like he was in a winter wonderland. As the clock struck midnight, the magical workshop came to life. The elves began to dance, and Santa invited Luke to join him on his sleigh to deliver gifts around the world. The sleigh took off, and Luke could see the lights of the villages beneath them. The sky was clear, and the stars glittered like diamonds. The night was quiet, and the sleigh glided through the air noiselessly. Luke enjoyed the breathtaking view and the feeling of freedom. When they returned, landing once again on the clearing in front of the enchanting house, Santa thanked Luke for his help and gave him a magical snow globe that lit up every time he remembered this adventure. With a smile, Luke bid farewell to Santa's workshop and followed the secret path back to his village. When he woke up on the morning of the 25th of December, he could hardly wait to give his family presents and share the story of his unforgettable adventure. The gift-giving on Christmas Eve was not just special for Luke this year. The magic of that evening enchanted the village, filling the hearts of its people with joy and love. Together, they celebrated a joyful Christmas, a night that would be remembered in the history of the small village. Once upon a time, deep in the heart of the Whispering Woods, a squirrel named Sammy was racing up and down the tallest oak tree. Sammy had heard a rumor from the blue jays that the golden acorn, a magical treasure said to bring endless joy to the forest, was hidden somewhere nearby. Excited, Sammy decided to gather his friends for an adventure. First, he met Bella the bear, who was busy collecting honey. "Bella, there's a magical golden acorn in the forest. Will you help me find it?" Sammy asked. "Of course. It sounds exciting," said Bella, putting down her honey jar. Next, they found Lila the fox near her den. "Lila, we're on a quest for the golden acorn. Will you come along?" Sammy exclaimed. "With my clever nose, I'm sure we'll find it," replied Lila, wagging her bushy tail. Finally, the trio stumbled upon Charlie the rabbit, who was munching on some carrots. "Charlie, we need you for a great adventure." "Count me in," said Charlie, hopping in excitement. The team was ready, and their adventure began. The friends reached a sparkling stream, where they noticed a family of frogs resting on lily pads. The frogs told them of a riddle etched on a stone nearby. "To find the treasure that's bright as the sun, follow the trail where waters run." Sammy scratched his head. "It must mean we should follow the stream." With Bella leading the way and Lila sniffing for clues, they followed the stream until they reached a tall waterfall. Behind the rushing water, they saw a small cave. The cave was dark and filled with glowing mushrooms. As they stepped inside, their footsteps echoed. Lila spotted a sign on the wall. "Face your fears to light your way. Courage will help you save the day." Suddenly, shadows began to move. The friends huddled close, but Bella's deep voice rumbled, "Remember, they're just shadows. We must be brave." At the end of the glowing path, they found a circle of colorful pebbles arranged in a spiral. In the center was another riddle. "Sort the stones, red, blue, and green. Find the pattern and keep it clean." Charlie hopped forward. "I love puzzles. Let me try." With teamwork, they sorted the pebbles into neat rows, following the spiral's shape. When the last pebble was placed, the ground trembled, and a hidden door creaked open. Inside the final chamber, a beam of sunlight illuminated the golden acorn resting on a pedestal. It sparkled like 1,000 stars, and the room filled with warmth. "We did it!" cried Sammy, his fluffy tail twitching with joy. As they stood together, a gentle voice filled the room. "This treasure belongs to all who cherish friendship and courage. Share its light with the forest." The friends carefully carried the golden acorn back to the Whispering Woods, where its magic spread happiness to every creature. From then on, Sammy, Bella, Lila, and Charlie became legends, known as the heroes of the forest.
In the heart of a bustling city, there lay a forgotten park known as Greenhaven. Once a lush oasis, it had fallen victim to neglect and pollution over the years. People had grown indifferent to its plight, too preoccupied with their daily lives to notice the gradual degradation of the environment. But in the midst of this desolation, a remarkable friendship and an unbreakable bond between two unlikely companions emerged. Meet Maya, a young environmentalist with a fiery passion for nature. She had grown up in the city but had always felt a deep connection to the natural world. Maya often visited Greenhaven, where she felt a sense of tranquility amidst the chaos of the city. She couldn't stand the sight of the park deteriorating and decided to take matters into her own hands. One sunny morning, as Maya was picking up trash and planting new saplings, she noticed a peculiar sight: a crow perched on a bench, seemingly engrossed in something. As she approached, she realized the crow was gazing intently at an old, weathered book. Curiosity piqued, Maya reached for the book. The crow, which she later named Kylam, cawed in protest but didn't fly away. The book's title read Greenhaven, a chronicle of the past. Intrigued, Maya opened the pages to discover a treasure trove of information about the park's glorious past. With each turn of the page, she learned about the pristine beauty of Greenhaven, the diversity of its flora and fauna, and the numerous families that once enjoyed its serenity. The book was a testament to what the park had once been, a vibrant, living ecosystem teeming with life. Maya's heart ached as she realized how far Greenhaven had fallen. She decided to share the book's contents with the world to remind people of the park's rich history and rally support for its restoration. She began documenting her findings, posting stories and pictures on social media, and organizing cleanup and planning events at Greenhaven. As Maya's efforts gained momentum, a group of like-minded individuals joined her cause. They called themselves the Guardians of Greenhaven. Together, they set out to restore the park to its former glory. They worked tirelessly, cleaning up litter, planting trees, and encouraging wildlife to return. Kylam the crow became their unofficial mascot and a symbol of hope for Greenhaven. He often perched on Maya's shoulder during their work, squawking encouragement to the Guardians as they toiled under the sun. It was an unusual friendship, but one that strengthened their resolve. As the park slowly transformed, so did the attitudes of the city's residents. They began to notice the beauty of Greenhaven and the dedication of the Guardians. Soon, more people started volunteering their time and resources to help. The park began to breathe again, and a sense of community blossomed. One day, Maya received an unexpected visitor, Mr. Harrison, an elderly man who had grown up near Greenhaven. He had seen Maya's posts online and recognized the book from his childhood. With tears in his eyes, he recounted the countless hours he had spent playing in the park as a boy and how he had watched it deteriorate over the years. Mr. Harrison shared stories of the animals that once called Greenhaven home: squirrels, rabbits, and even a pair of majestic owls. He spoke of the tranquility that enveloped the park, a stark contrast to the honking horns and sirens of the city. Inspired by Maya's dedication, he offered his support and shared his memories with the community. Word of Greenhaven's revival spread far and wide, drawing visitors from other parts of the city. Families began to return, creating new memories and traditions in the park. Children played on the swings, couples picnicked under the shade of newly planted trees, and birdwatchers marveled at the diverse avian species that had returned. The park's transformation wasn't without its challenges. Pollution remained a persistent problem, as nearby factories continued to release toxins into the air and water. But the Guardians were undeterred. They organized protests, lobbied local authorities, and urged businesses to adopt eco-friendly practices. Their tireless efforts paid off, and gradually, the air became cleaner, and the waterways began to clear. The once dying park had become a symbol of hope and resilience, a testament to what a community could achieve when united by a common cause. As the years passed, Maya, Kylam, and the Guardians continued to protect and nurture Greenhaven. The park flourished, teeming with life once more. It had become a living testament to the power of friendship, community, and the unyielding determination to protect the environment. And so, amidst the urban jungle, Greenhaven stood as a beacon of hope, a reminder that even in the face of pollution and neglect, nature could be revived, and friendships could be formed that transcended boundaries, a testament to the enduring beauty of the natural world and the indomitable spirit of those who cared for it.
The Guardians' treasure. The jungle loomed before them, a tangle of towering trees and thick underbrush that seemed to stretch endlessly in all directions. It was a place of mystery and danger, where every step could lead to discovery or disaster. James and Sarah, two intrepid explorers, had journeyed deep into the heart of the jungle in search of a legendary treasure that was said to be hidden there. Their journey had been a long and arduous one, filled with peril and excitement. They had battled through thickets of thorns, crossed treacherous rivers, and encountered a host of strange and exotic creatures. But they were undeterred, driven by the promise of unimaginable riches. As they ventured deeper into the jungle, the air grew thick and humid, and the sounds of the wild filled their ears. Birds of every color and size flew overhead, and monkeys swung through the trees, chattering and screeching. The ground was alive with the wriggling forms of insects and the calls of hidden creatures. James and Sarah consulted their maps and compasses, trying to determine the best route to their destination. They had received a cryptic message from an old explorer, a friend of James's grandfather, who had spent his life searching for the treasure. The message had led them to this remote and untamed wilderness, and now they had to rely on their wits and instincts to find their way. Their journey had taken them to a clearing in the jungle, where a massive banyan tree stood. Its roots hung down like thick vines, creating a natural curtain that concealed a hidden cave entrance. They approached the tree cautiously, their hearts pounding with anticipation. As they entered the cave, the air grew cool and musty. Their torches illuminated the dark, winding passages, revealing ancient carvings on the walls. The walls were adorned with strange symbols and depictions of fierce warriors, animals, and treasure. It was clear that they were on the right path. They followed the cave's twists and turns, descending deeper into the earth. The sounds of the jungle outside grew distant, and a sense of foreboding settled over them. The cave led them to a large chamber, where the treasure was said to be hidden. In the center of the chamber, they found a stone pedestal upon which rested a gleaming emerald. It was the size of a man's fist and sparkled with a mesmerizing green light. James and Sarah gasped in awe at the sight of the legendary gem, their eyes filled with wonder and greed. But as they reached out to take the emerald, a voice echoed through the chamber. "Who dares to disturb the guardian of the treasure?" It boomed. Startled, they turned to see a colossal stone statue standing at the entrance of the chamber. It was a massive figure, carved from dark stone and adorned with precious gems. Its eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, and it began to move. The statue came to life, stepping forward with an unearthly grace. Its voice rumbled, "Only those with pure hearts and noble intentions may claim the treasure. All others shall face my wrath." James and Sarah exchanged worried glances. They had come in search of riches, driven by their desire for wealth and adventure, not by any sense of noble purpose. The statue's words hung in the air, and they realized they were in grave danger. Desperate to prove their worth, James and Sarah explained their journey, the cryptic message, and their belief that the treasure might hold the key to a greater good. The statue listened, its eyes never leaving them. When they finished, the statue nodded slowly, and its eyes dimmed. "You have shown honesty and humility," it said. "You may take the treasure, but remember that with great power comes great responsibility." With that, the statue stepped aside, allowing James and Sarah to claim the emerald. They left the chamber, their hearts filled with a newfound sense of purpose. They knew that the emerald's true value lay not in its material worth but in the potential to do good for others. As they emerged from the cave, the jungle seemed to welcome them back with open arms. The birds sang a melodious tune, and the monkeys chattered playfully in the treetops. James and Sarah felt a deep connection to the wild, a sense of harmony and balance that they had never experienced before. They made their way back through the jungle, carrying the emerald with great care. Their journey had transformed from a quest for personal gain to a mission to use the treasure for the betterment of the world. They knew that they would face challenges and obstacles, but they were ready to embrace them with open hearts and noble intentions. The jungle had revealed its secrets to them, not only in the form of a legendary emerald but also in the wisdom of the guardian statue. James and Sarah left the jungle with a treasure far more precious than they had ever imagined, the knowledge that true wealth could be found in the pursuit of good deeds and the embrace of a higher purpose. The harmony of the forest. Once upon a time, in a lush, ancient forest, a diverse community of animals lived in perfect harmony. This forest was like no other, for it had a unique rule: every creature, no matter how big or small, had a voice in the decision-making process. They gathered once a month at the great oak tree, a towering giant that stood in the heart of the forest. The leader of the council was Wise Old Owl, a venerable bird with feathers as white as snow. Wise Old Owl was known for his sagacity, and his counsel was valued by all. The council included creatures of all kinds: rabbits, squirrels, deer, raccoons, and even the elusive fox. They all had their quirks and differences, but they had learned to respect one another and cooperate for the good of the forest. One sunny morning, as the council gathered beneath the great oak, they noticed a disturbing trend. The once crystal clear stream that meandered through their forest home had turned murky and foul. This was a crisis, for the stream provided water to all the animals and was essential for their survival. Wise Old Owl spoke up, "Friends, we must address the issue of our beloved stream. It has turned impure, and we cannot ignore this threat to our harmonious existence." The council nodded in agreement. It was decided that representatives from each species would investigate the source of the pollution and report back. Squirrel, rabbit, deer, raccoon, and fox set out on a quest to find the cause. As the animals followed the stream upstream, they encountered various challenges. Rabbit, with her keen sense of smell, detected a strange odor. Squirrel noticed a pile of garbage, and deer saw a rusty old drum lying on the stream's edge. Raccoon, with her nimble fingers, discovered an empty bottle of chemicals. Fox used his cunning to piece together the clues and realized that these pollutants were leaching into the stream from a nearby human settlement. The animals returned to the great oak tree and presented their findings. Wise Old Owl was dismayed but not defeated. "We must find a way to communicate with the humans and make them understand the importance of our stream." The council brainstormed ideas. Rabbit suggested sending a diplomatic envoy of animals to the humans, while Squirrel proposed writing a heartfelt letter. Deer thought they could organize a protest, and Raccoon suggested leaving a token of their forest beauty at the humans' doorstep. Fox, with his keen insight, proposed a combination of these ideas. They decided on a plan. A delegation of animals, led by Wise Old Owl and Fox, would approach the humans, bearing a letter written by the council, and leave a basket of beautiful forest flowers as a symbol of their appreciation for the stream. With the plan in place, the animals set out toward the human settlement. They walked cautiously through the underbrush, crossed fields, and eventually reached the outskirts of the village. It was a risky endeavor, as they had never interacted with humans before. As the animals approached a cozy cottage, Wise Old Owl and Fox took the lead. They left the basket of flowers on the doorstep and affixed the council's letter to the door. Then, they retreated into the nearby woods to watch and wait. Inside the cottage, a young girl named Lily discovered the basket of flowers and the letter. She carefully read the message, which spoke of the forest's importance and the dire state of the stream. Touched by the animal's plea, she showed the letter to her family. Lily's family, compassionate and environmentally conscious, decided to take action. They organized a community cleanup along the stream, removing the pollutants and garbage that had tainted the water. They also began educating their neighbors about the importance of protecting the forest and its wildlife. Word spread quickly, and soon the entire human settlement joined the cause. They installed trash bins along the stream, organized cleanup events, and planted trees to prevent erosion. The once polluted stream began to flow clear and pure once more. Back in the forest, the Council of Animals rejoiced as they saw the stream's water return to its natural beauty. Wise Old Owl addressed the council. "This is a testament to the power of unity and communication. By reaching out to the humans and making them understand our plight, we have not only saved our stream but also forged a new bond between our worlds." The forest flourished with renewed vitality, and the harmony among its inhabitants deepened. The animals and humans continued to work together to protect their shared home, ensuring that the ancient forest would thrive for generations to come. And so, in this remarkable forest, where every creature had a voice, the harmony between animals and humans became a shining example of what could be achieved when understanding, empathy, and cooperation prevailed over adversity. Once upon a time, there was a little girl named Lara. Lara was a bright and curious child, with shining eyes and a heart full of dreams. She loved listening to stories about distant lands, brave adventures, and big dreams. But Lara didn't just enjoy hearing stories. She dreamed of experiencing such adventures herself, and achieving great goals. One day, as Lara was reading one of those stories, she decided it was time to pursue her own dreams. She got up, went to her window, and looked out into the world. The sun was shining in the sky, the birds were chirping happily, and Lara could feel her heart beating faster with excitement. "I want to explore the world and see all the wonderful things I've read about in my books," Lara said to herself. "I will follow my dreams and achieve my goals, no matter how big they may be." With this determination in her heart, Lara set out on her journey. She packed a backpack with some of her favorite books, some provisions, and a map, and ventured out into the wide world. Her first stop was a small village on the edge of the forest. There, she met a group of children who were building a hut in the woods. They asked Lara to help them, and although she had never held a hammer before, she was determined to do her best. Together they worked hard, and after a few days, the hut stood finished, a small but proud structure created by the community. "That was fantastic," Lara exclaimed when the work was done. "I've learned that with cooperation and determination, you can achieve great things." Her journey continued. Lara wandered through green meadows, climbed high mountains, and sailed across the vast sea. She met many people who helped and inspired her. An old fisherman told her about his dream of conquering the ocean's greatest wave, and a friendly merchant showed her how to read a map and navigate by the stars. Each day brought new adventures and new insights. Lara learned that dreams are not only meant to be dreamed, but that they can also be the drive that pushes you to do your best every day. She learned that it's not always easy to achieve your goals, but that it's always worth it to keep courage and keep going. Finally, Lara arrived at a place she had always wanted to see, the city of flying balloons. There, high up in the clouds, a festival was held once a year, where colorful balloons conquered the sky, and people reached new heights. Lara had read about it in one of her books and knew immediately that she had to go there. When she arrived, the city was even more beautiful than she had imagined. People were everywhere, laughing and being happy, and the colorful balloons rose like bright spots in the sky. Lara felt her heart leap with joy, and she knew she was in the right place. That day, Lara decided it was time to fulfill her greatest dream. She wanted to build her own balloon and fly high up into the sky, so high that she could touch the stars. She immediately began preparations. She collected fabrics, ropes, and colors and got to work. It wasn't easy to build a balloon, but Lara was determined to succeed. Day and night, she worked on her project, and after many weeks, it was finally finished, a colorful balloon waiting to soar into the air. On the day of the festival, Lara was ready. She climbed into her balloon and let go of the ropes. Slowly, the balloon rose into the air, and Lara could feel her heart beating faster with excitement. She looked down at the city, which was getting smaller and smaller, and then up into the sky, where the stars sparkled like little diamonds. "Here I am, high up in the sky, exactly where I've always wanted to be," Lara thought happily. "I've fulfilled my dream, and I will continue to reach new goals and dream new dreams every day." And so Lara flew on, high up into the sky, always searching for new adventures and new dreams waiting to come true. The Journey of the Lost Star. In a secluded village named Starhaven, surrounded by dense forests and majestic mountains, lived a young boy named Ethan. He was a dreamer, with eyes that always sparkled with curiosity and a thirst for adventure. However, Starhaven was a special place, for it was said that on clear nights, a magical star would appear in the sky, capable of granting the most secret wishes. Ethan had heard of this star named Silverglow, and dreamt every night of finding it to express his deepest desire. One day, he decided to embark on a quest to locate this enchanted star. His parents, concerned for their little adventurer, provided him with a bag of provisions, a warm blanket, and a farewell kiss. Armed with a homemade compass and a fragment of a map he received from an old man in the village, Ethan set out into the dense forest. The trees reached high into the sky, and the ground was covered with a thick carpet of moss. The forest seemed alive, full of secrets and unexplored paths. After days of wandering through the woods, Ethan reached a clearing, in the center of which stood a mighty mountain. The mountain seemed to touch the sky, and radiated a mysterious energy. Ethan recalled the map fragment and realized he was on the right path. Determined, Ethan began the ascent. The path was steep and challenging, but his resolve and youthful enthusiasm propelled him forward. When he reached the summit, a breathtaking sight unfolded before him. A massive lake stretched out below, and in the middle of this lake, a silver star glittered in the sky. Ethan knew this must be Silverglow. His heart pounded with excitement as he descended the mountain to the shores of the lake. Along the way, he encountered a mystical figure, a being of shimmering light, that introduced itself as the guardian of the star. "Why are you here, little adventurer?" the guardian asked, its voice resembling the gentle wind rustling through the leaves. "I am Ethan from Starhaven, and I seek Silverglow, the star that grants wishes." "I have a wish I want to entrust to the star," Ethan replied with gleaming eyes. The guardian smiled wisely and said, "Silverglow only fulfills the wishes of those who are worthy. Before you state your wish, you must pass 3 trials to prove your true intent." Ethan agreed and prepared to face the trials. The first trial was the test of endurance. Ethan had to climb a steep path around the mountain to prove he could persevere. The second trial was the test of courage. Ethan had to cross a narrow bridge hanging high above a roaring waterfall. His heart pounded as he took the final step onto solid ground. The third trial was the test of generosity. The guardian led Ethan to a small village on the lake's shore. The people there were poor and in need. Ethan's task was to share his provisions and blanket with the villagers. It was a trial to reveal if his wish was selfless. After passing the trials, Ethan returned to Silverglow. The star seemed to shine more brightly, as if it had penetrated Ethan's heart and recognized his true intention. "You have proven that your heart is pure, and your intent noble. Speak your wish, little adventurer," said the guardian. Ethan looked up at the sky and uttered softly, "I wish for the village of Starhaven never to suffer hunger again, and may peace and prosperity fill the hearts of its inhabitants." The moment Ethan voiced his wish, Silverglow radiated as brightly as ever. A magical shimmer spread over Starhaven, and the village blossomed into a sea of flowers. The people were filled with gratitude and joy. The guardian of the star smiled at Ethan and said, "Your wish was noble, and you have earned the reward. May peace and prosperity always watch over Starhaven." With one final, radiant glance, Silverglow vanished from the sky. Ethan returned to Starhaven as a hero, and his adventure had not only changed his own life, but also the fate of his village. Thus ended the journey of the lost star. But the legend of Silverglow and the brave boy from Starhaven would live on in the hearts of the people, a reminder of the magic found in the most unexpected adventures. The Lost Butterfly. Once upon a time, there lived a little boy named Otis in a picturesque village at the edge of the forest. Otis was a curious little adventurer with a heart full of joy and a fondness for animals. One sunny day, as Otis roamed through the woods, he discovered a beautiful butterfly shimmering in the colors of the rainbow. "Wow, you're the most beautiful butterfly I've ever seen," exclaimed Otis with delight. The butterfly danced joyfully around Otis, equally thrilled to have found such an open-hearted friend. Otis decided to give the butterfly a name and called it Rainbow Wings. The two quickly became best friends and embarked on many adventures together. However, on a gloomy day, something unfortunate happened. While fluttering through the forest, Rainbow Wings was suddenly caught by a strong gust of wind. Otis desperately tried to hold on to his feathered friend, but the wind was too powerful. Rainbow Wings soared higher and higher into the sky, until it disappeared from sight. Otis was devastated. His beloved butterfly friend was gone. The other forest animals tried to comfort Otis, but he was determined to find Rainbow Wings. He packed his backpack with supplies and set out on a journey to search for his lost friend. His journey took him through dense forests, across clear streams, and up high mountains. Otis encountered many animals along the way, who helped him and shared stories about the sky. A wise owl explained to him that the sky was a vast place, but with determination and courage, one could overcome any challenge. Otis didn't give up. He climbed steep mountains, crossed wild rivers, and braved stormy winds. Day by day, he searched for any clue about Rainbow Wings' whereabouts. Finally, he reached the summit of the tallest mountain in the forest, and saw a breathtaking landscape unfolding before him. Up there, Otis not only found a clue about Rainbow Wings' location, but also a magical world full of glowing flowers and friendly animals. It turned out that rainbow wings had been found by a group of other butterflies living in this hidden oasis. The butterflies told Otis that rainbow wings had been carried far away by the gust of wind, but they had saved him and brought him to their safe haven. Otis was overjoyed to have found his friend and thanked the kind butterflies warmly. Rainbow Wings and Otis spent a few days in the magical world of butterflies. They made new friends and enjoyed the beauty of this special place. However, Otis missed his home and the other animals in the forest. The butterflies had an idea. They would send him and Rainbow Wings back to the forest with a special dandelion. Otis was thrilled, and all the butterflies gathered around the two friends. With a hearty blow, they sent Otis and Rainbow Wings back to their home. When Otis and Rainbow Wings landed in the forest, they were greeted with cheers and joy from the other animals. Otis shared his adventures, the magical world of the butterflies, and the kindness they had shown. From that day on, Otis became not only an adventurer, but also a storyteller. He shared his experiences with the other animals in the forest, encouraging them to be open to new friendships and adventures. The tale of Otis and Rainbow Wings spread throughout the forest, and the animals learned that friendship and courage were the strongest forces they possessed. And so they lived happily and content, ready for any adventure that life had in store for them. In the fog-shrouded streets of London, in the year 1887, a young adventurer named Edward Hastings strode through the deserted alleys. His goal was to find a mysterious map rumored to be a treasure map of the legendary Captain Blackbeard. Edward was a man of courage and determination, but he was not the only one seeking the treasure. Other treasure hunters had already set their sights on the map, and the competition was fierce. With an old scroll in hand, serving as his only guide, Edward embarked on the perilous journey. His first stop was a gloomy inn on the outskirts of the city, where he met the shady informant named Barnaby. "Barnaby, I'm seeking information about the lost map of Captain Blackbeard," explained Edward, laying the scroll on the table. Barnaby frowned, studying the scroll before nodding slowly. "I've heard of this map, but it's not easy to find. It will lead you through dangerous waters and sinister forests. Are you sure you're up to the task?" "I'm willing to take any risk to find the treasure," replied Edward with determination. Barnaby sighed and nodded. "Very well. But beware, my friend. Not every treasure is worth the risk." With those words, Edward bid farewell to Barnaby and set off for his next destination, an old lighthouse on the windswept coast of Cornwall. There, he hoped to find further clues about the lost map. As Edward reached the lighthouse, he found it abandoned, surrounded by seagulls. He entered the old building and searched every corner for clues. Eventually, he stumbled upon a hidden door behind a shelf. With trembling hands, Edward opened the door and stepped into a dimly lit room. There, spread out on a weathered table, lay an old sea chart. It was the map of Captain Blackbeard. Filled with anticipation, Edward seized the map and securely tucked it into his pocket. But before he could leave the room, the door slammed shut with a loud bang, and he heard the sound of footsteps behind him. With a pounding heart, Edward turned around to face a dangerous pirate wielding a sharp cutlass. "What are you doing here, landlubber?" growled the pirate. "I'm searching for treasure, just like you," Edward replied bravely. The pirate laughed scornfully. "So you think you can get away with the loot? Do you think you can outsmart me?" Edward knew he was in a perilous situation, but he didn't give up. With a skillful maneuver, he managed to outwit the pirate and clear his path to the door. With one last glance at the lost map of Captain Blackbeard, Edward fled from the lighthouse into the night. In the following days, Edward deciphered the clues on the map and found his way to the hidden treasure. He crossed raging rivers, traversed impenetrable forests, and scaled treacherous cliffs. Finally, after many hardships and trials, Edward stood before an ancient oak tree in the heart of a dense forest. There, beneath the roots of the tree, he unearthed a buried chest full of gold and jewels. With a triumphant smile, Edward lifted the treasures aloft, knowing that his adventure had been worthwhile. Not only had he found the treasure of Captain Blackbeard, but he had also proven his courage and determination. And so, Edward Hastings returned to London as a celebrated hero, ready for his next adventure. The magic of Christmas lights. Once upon a time in a small town surrounded by snow-covered hills, there was a special time of the year. People were getting ready for the festive Christmas season, and the streets were adorned with sparkling lights. In the midst of this festive atmosphere, lived a family named the Millers. They were known for their warm hospitality and the beautiful Christmas decorations that adorned their house every year. The Millers, consisting of Father Michael, Mother Maria, and their 2 children, Emily and Noah, loved the Christmas season more than anything else. Their home was a true oasis of joy and happiness. However, this year, they felt a special magic in the air. A spell seemed to hover over the town, and the Millers were determined to share it with others. It all began with the family deciding to present their Christmas lights in a new way. Instead of just decorating their own yard, they planned a magical lights tour through their street. Emily and Noah were excited about the idea and helped their parents with the preparations. Days passed, and the Miller house transformed into a sparkling winter dream. Strings of lights wound around trees and bushes. Colorful lights danced along the roof, and the front yard was adorned with glowing reindeer and Santas. But the best part was the lights tour they prepared for the entire neighborhood. The family invited their neighbors to gather on Christmas Eve to experience the magic of the lights together. The word spread quickly, and the entire town looked forward to the special event. The Millers prepared hot cocoa and gingerbread to pamper the visitors. As night fell and the stars twinkled in the sky, people gathered in front of the Miller house. A sparkling arch of lights guided them through the street, accompanied by soft Christmas music. Neighbors marveled at the lovingly crafted decorations and the warm atmosphere the Millers had created. In the midst of the lights tour, the children of the town discovered a mysterious path of lights leading into the nearby forest. Curious, they followed the glittering trail, accompanied by the amazed looks of the adults. When they entered the forest, they were overwhelmed by a magical sight. In the midst of the trees, the Millers had created a small clearing. There stood a sparkling Christmas tree, its lights piercing through the darkness of the forest. Around the tree lay blankets and pillows, and in the center was a bonfire spreading a cozy warmth. The children were enchanted when, suddenly, Santa Claus himself appeared. Santa Claus, a kind elderly man with a white beard and a red coat, greeted the children with a hearty laugh. He told stories of the North Pole, sleigh-riding elves, and the magic of Christmas time. The children listened intently to his words, while the lights of the Christmas tree flickered in the gentle breeze. The parents of the children also entered the clearing, and were touched by the peaceful atmosphere of the place. Together, they sang Christmas carols, exchanged stories, and shared the joy of this special night. It seemed as if the magic of Christmas had penetrated deep into their hearts. After a while, Santa Claus bid farewell and disappeared into the nighttime sky. The children returned with their parents to the lights tour, where the festive mood continued to linger in the air. However, the magical moment in the forest would remain forever in their memories. The Millers had not only connected their family, but the entire town with the magic of Christmas stories and lights. People went home filled with a warm, loving atmosphere and a sense of togetherness. In the following years, the lights tour became a tradition in the town. Every year, families endeavored to decorate their homes even more festively, and the lights tour always ended at the magical clearing in the forest. The magic of Christmas lights had touched the hearts of the people and created a tradition passed down from generation to generation. And so ends our story of the Miller family and the magic of Christmas lights, which not only illuminated the streets of their town, but also united the hearts of the people in a festive embrace.
The secret of Blackwood Manor. Deep within the heart of the forest, shrouded in impenetrable mist, stood the ominous Blackwood Manor. An ancient, dilapidated mansion that had stood vacant for generations. The villagers avoided this place, for it was said that a dark curse hung over the estate. No one dared to approach the mystery of Blackwood Manor, except for Emily. Emily was a curious young woman with an unwavering fascination for the supernatural. Her dark curls and deep green eyes sparkled with determination as she decided to unveil the enigma of Blackwood Manor. The tales of the mansion had captivated her since childhood, and now the moment had come for her to confront her fear. On a foggy evening, Emily set out for Blackwood Manor. Her heart raced as she passed through the weathered archway and walked the long gravel path to the entrance of the estate. The trees seemed to whisper softly, and the wind carried an eerie murmur. The mansion loomed majestically before her, overgrown with vines and weathered by time. With trembling hands, Emily pushed open the creaking door and entered the interior of the building. A musty smell hung in the air, and the floor crunched beneath her footsteps. In the first room she entered, Emily spotted a dusty piano, its keys nearly faded. Suddenly, a ghostly melody emanated from it, as if invisible fingers were touching the keys. A shiver ran down her spine, and she hurried into the next room. There, she found an old painting on the wall depicting a family picnicking in joyous harmony on a meadow. Yet the faces were contorted, their eyes vacant and expressionless. A eerie whisper emanated from the painting, as if the ghosts of the past were trapped within. Emily continued her journey, ascending the creaky staircase. In a dusty bedroom, she discovered a diary resting on a weathered desk. As she flipped through the pages, she uncovered the captivating story of a young woman named Eleanor, who had lived in Blackwood Manor many years ago. Eleanor recounted inexplicable apparitions that had driven her to madness and a curse that plagued her family. The more Emily read, the deeper she was drawn into the dark history of the estate. Eleanor described terrible visions in which the boundaries between reality and nightmare blurred. She had attempted to break the curse, but her efforts had only led to greater calamity. Suddenly, Emily heard a soft sobbing from the hallway. She left the room and followed the sound to a hidden door at the end of the corridor. With trembling hands, she opened the door and stepped into a secret chamber. There sat a pale, veiled figure on a chair, her eyes empty and mournful. "Eleanor?" Emily whispered as she realized the figure was the ghostly woman from the painting. The figure lifted her head, gazing at Emily with sad eyes. In a hushed, ethereal voice, she spoke, "You've come to break the curse, haven't you?" Emily nodded, her determination unwavering. Eleanor told Emily of an ancient ritual that could end the curse. But the cost was high, and Emily had to make a fateful decision. In the following days, Emily performed the ritual, accompanied by ghostly apparitions and eerie chants. The ground trembled, and the mansion seemed to come to life. Finally, a mighty storm erupted, and a brilliant light filled the room. Emily found herself suddenly in a beautiful garden, surrounded by blooming flowers and a clear sky. Eleanor stood beside her, her gaze filled with gratitude. "The curse is broken," she whispered before slowly fading and disappearing. As Emily left Blackwood Manor, the mist had lifted, and the sun broke through the clouds. The decaying mansion seemed to glow anew, as if it had finally found peace. The villagers could hardly believe it when Emily told the tale of her encounter with Eleanor and the end of the curse. Blackwood Manor was restored and turned into a place of remembrance for the past. And thus ends the tale of Emily, who was brave enough to unravel the secret of Blackwood Manor and break the curse by confronting the ghosts of the past, paving the way for peace and redemption.
Finn was a curious little seahorse with shimmering golden scales that sparkled like sunlight on the water. His best friend, Coral, was a bright pink octopus with a knack for solving puzzles. One sunny morning, while exploring the tide pools near their home, Finn spotted something unusual poking out of the sand. It was a rolled-up piece of parchment, tied with a piece of seaweed. "Coral, look at this," Finn called, unrolling the map with his tiny fins. The map was old and faded, but they could make out a winding path leading to a place called the Pearl of the Deep. "A treasure map," Coral exclaimed, her tentacles wiggling with excitement. "Let's follow it." Finn and Coral set off into the open ocean, following the map's first clue, where the coral blooms brightest, seek the path of light. They swam through a dazzling coral reef, where schools of fish darted like rainbows and sea turtles glided gracefully overhead. "This place is amazing," Finn said, twirling around a patch of glowing sea anemones. "But we need to stay focused," Coral reminded him, her eyes scanning the map. "The Pearl of the Deep won't find itself." The next clue led them to a dense kelp forest. The towering plants swayed like giants in the current, creating a maze of green. "This way," Coral said, leading Finn through the twisting paths. But the kelp was so thick that they soon lost their way. "What do we do now?" Finn asked, his voice trembling. Coral thought for a moment. "We'll follow the bubbles," she said, pointing to tiny air bubbles rising to the surface. "They'll lead us out." Sure enough, the bubbles guided them to the edge of the forest, where the next clue awaited. The map's third clue read, "Listen to the song of the shells, and the way will be clear." Finn and Coral swam to a patch of giant seashells, each one glowing softly. As they approached, the shells began to hum a beautiful melody. The sound echoed through the water, creating ripples of light. "It's so pretty," Finn said, swaying to the music. "Wait," Coral said, tilting her head. The song is telling us which way to go. Following the melody, they swam toward a hidden tunnel in the ocean floor. The tunnel was dark and eerie, but as Finn and Coral ventured inside, they were greeted by a breathtaking sight. Hundreds of tiny glowfish lit up the passage like stars in the night sky. "Wow," Finn whispered, his golden scales reflecting the soft blue light. "This must be the way," Coral said, swimming confidently ahead. The glowfish guided them through the tunnel, their light growing brighter as they neared the end. Emerging from the tunnel, Finn and Coral found themselves in front of a sunken ship. Its wooden planks were covered in coral, and seaweed draped over its sides like curtains. "This has to be it," Finn said, darting toward the ship. They swam onto the deck, where a treasure chest sat glowing with a golden light. Coral carefully opened the lid, revealing the most beautiful pearl they had ever seen. "The pearl of the deep," Coral said, her eyes wide with awe. Just as they reached for the pearl, a deep voice echoed through the water. "Who seeks the pearl of the deep?" A giant sea turtle emerged from the shadows, his shell covered in moss and his eyes glowing with wisdom. "We do," Finn said bravely. "We followed the map and solved the clues." The turtle nodded. "But to claim the pearl, you must answer this riddle. I am not alive, yet I grow. I have no lungs, yet I need air. What am I?" Coral thought hard. "A bubble," she said finally. The turtle smiled. "Correct. The pearl is yours." As Finn and Coral held the pearl, it began to glow even brighter, filling the water with a warm, golden light. The light spread through the ocean, healing damaged coral and bringing color back to the reef. "It's magic," Finn said, watching in amazement. "This pearl isn't just a treasure," Coral said. "It's a gift to the ocean." With the pearl's magic restoring the ocean, Finn and Coral began their journey home. The once damaged reef was now teeming with life, and the water sparkled like diamonds. "We did it," Finn said, smiling at Coral. "Together," Coral replied, wrapping a tentacle around him. Back at their home reef, Finn and Coral placed the pearl in a special spot where its light could shine forever. As they settled down to rest, Coral noticed something strange. "Finn, look," she said, pointing to the map. New words were appearing, along with a drawing of a distant underwater cave. Finn grinned. "Another adventure?" Coral nodded. "Another adventure."
Once upon a time, there was a little girl named Lily who lived with her parents and her little brother Ben at the edge of a large forest. Lily was very curious and loved exploring nature. She knew many of the animals in the forest and often went with her mother to collect edible herbs and berries. But one day, she would have an adventure she would never forget. One beautiful spring morning, as the birds were chirping cheerfully and the sun was shining through the trees, Lily decided that today she would explore the hidden part of the forest. Her parents had often told her about a secret lake that she'd never seen before. "Maybe I'll find it today," she thought, her heart filling with excitement. She grabbed her small backpack, packed a few sandwiches, a bottle of water, and a blanket, and waved goodbye to her mother. "Please, stay on the path, Lily," her mother called after her. "And be careful." Lily nodded, then walked on, soon getting so absorbed in the forest's beauty that she barely noticed the path. She saw squirrels jumping nimbly from tree to tree, and colorful butterflies gently floating through the air. Soon, she heard a soft rustling sound behind her. When she turned around, she saw a little gray rabbit watching her curiously. "Hello, little rabbit," Lily whispered, kneeling to look into the creature's eyes. "Do you know where the hidden lake is?" The rabbit twitched its ears, turned around, and began hopping deeper into the forest. Carefully, Lily followed it, step by step. The rabbit hopped over mossy roots, past tall ferns, and through a thicket of blackberry bushes. They were now far off the path, and Lily noticed she was in a part of the forest she'd never seen before. After a while, the rabbit suddenly stopped, looked back at her once more, then disappeared into a little burrow under a large tree. "Thank you, little rabbit," she called after it. Then she looked around and noticed she was standing in a small clearing. In the center, a stream bubbled, winding its way deeper into the forest. "Maybe the stream leads to the lake," thought Lily and followed it eagerly. Along the way, she picked some colorful flowers growing along the bank and hummed a cheerful tune. The stream eventually led her to a beautiful lake, hidden among tall trees. The surface of the water sparkled in the sunlight, and Lily felt her heart race with joy. She had found the hidden lake. Lily spread her blanket by the shore and sat down to eat her sandwich. She enjoyed the peacefulness of the place when she suddenly heard a faint whimpering sound. Cautiously, she stood up and listened. The sound was coming from a bush nearby. When she walked over, she discovered a small, brown fawn tangled in the underbrush. It looked frightened and was struggling to free itself, but the branches held its legs firmly. "Oh, you poor thing," Lily whispered and knelt down gently. "Don't worry, I'll help you." Carefully, she removed the branches around the little fawn's legs, finally setting it free. The fawn shook itself, looked up at Lily with big, brown eyes, and stood there for a moment as if to say thank you. Then, with a light leap, it bounded away but didn't disappear immediately. Instead, it turned around and seemed to beckon Lily to follow with a nod of its head. "Do you want me to come with you?" Lily asked curiously, and the fawn began trotting into the woods. So she followed it. The fawn led Lily deeper into the forest, to a place she had never seen before. Towering ancient trees stood around them, their thick trunks covered in moss and their branches draped with hanging lichens. In the center of the forest, Lily saw a large, mysterious clearing. In the middle of the clearing was an old, abandoned tree stump, and on this stump lay something that gleamed in the sunlight. Curious, Lily stepped closer and found a small, silver key surrounded by flowers. She picked it up carefully and examined it. The key looked as if it belonged to a treasure chest. The fawn stood beside her and nudged her gently with its nose. "Do you know where this key belongs?" asked Lily. The fawn seemed to understand and led her even farther into the forest. After a while, they reached an ancient tree with a tiny, hidden door at its roots. The door was decorated with carved vines and looked as if it hadn't been opened for centuries. Lily slipped the key into the lock and turned it gently. With a soft click, the door opened, and Lily discovered a small, secret chamber inside. In it lay a beautiful chest, decorated with golden patterns and colorful gemstones. Carefully, she opened the chest and found a glowing crystal, shining in all the colors of the rainbow. "What a beautiful treasure," Lily whispered. But she knew this treasure didn't belong to her. She carefully removed the crystal and placed it in a hollow in the tree, where she felt it was meant to be. Suddenly, the forest around her began to glow, as if the trees and plants were thanking her. She felt a warmth in her heart and knew that she had done something good. The fawn looked at her with its gentle eyes, seeming pleased as well. Then, as suddenly as it had come, it bounded away, leaving Lily alone. Lily smiled, closed the little door of the tree, and started her way back. She followed the stream and eventually found the way back to the clearing where the little rabbit had first met her. As she stepped out of the forest, the sun was already low, and she hurried back home. Her mother was waiting for her at the door, very relieved to see Lily safe and sound. "How was your adventure, my dear?" she asked, smiling. "Oh, Mom, I found the hidden lake and discovered a secret treasure," Lily told her excitedly. But she didn't mention the crystal and the hidden chamber, for she knew it was a secret shared only between her and the forest. And so that night, Lily fell asleep with a happy smile, dreaming of a wonderful adventure in a magical forest. One sunny morning, in a small village nestled at the edge of a vast forest, a curious girl named Lila discovered something extraordinary. While exploring her grandmother's attic, she found an old wooden chest covered in dust. Inside was a map that seemed to shimmer faintly in the dim light. The map was labeled the Whispering Woods, a place Lila had never heard of before. The edges of the map were frayed, and the ink was faded, but Lila could make out strange symbols, a star, a crescent moon, and a winding path that led to a tree with golden leaves. Her heart raced with excitement. This was no ordinary map, it was a treasure map. Lila decided to follow it. She packed a small bag with a water bottle, a sandwich, and a flashlight, just in case. As she stepped into the forest, the trees seemed to whisper secrets to one another, their leaves rustling in the breeze. The adventure had begun. Lila followed the map's winding path deeper into the forest. Soon, she came to a river so wide she couldn't see the other side. The map showed a bridge, but when Lila looked around, all she saw was a fallen log covered in moss. Just as she was about to give up, she noticed something strange. The log began to shift and change, its surface smoothing into planks of wood. Vines twisted around it, forming railings, and flowers bloomed along its edges. Before her eyes, the log transformed into a beautiful, enchanted bridge. Lila hesitated. The bridge looked fragile, but the map insisted this was the way. Taking a deep breath, she stepped onto the bridge. It creaked softly but held her weight. Halfway across, she noticed golden fish swimming in the river below, their scales glittering like tiny suns. She smiled, feeling a little less afraid. When she reached the other side, the bridge vanished behind her, leaving only the fallen log once more. Lila knew there was no turning back now. As the sun began to set, Lila found herself in a clearing unlike any she had ever seen. The trees here were taller, their branches reaching toward the sky like arms. In the center of the clearing stood an enormous oak tree, its leaves a brilliant gold that seemed to glow in the fading light. The map had led her here, but Lila wasn't sure what to do next. She sat down on a rock and pulled out her sandwich. As she ate, she noticed tiny lights flickering around her. Fireflies. They danced around the golden tree, their glow blending with the leaves to create a magical scene. Suddenly, the tree began to hum, a low, soothing sound that made Lila feel calm and curious at the same time. She approached the tree and placed her hand on its trunk. The humming grew louder, and the golden leaves rustled as if they were speaking to her. "Welcome, Lila," the tree seemed to say. "You have come seeking the treasure of the Whispering Woods. But first, you must prove your courage and kindness." Lila felt a chill run down her spine. She knew she had to continue, but the path ahead looked ominous. The map showed a trail leading into a part of the forest where the trees grew close together, their branches forming a canopy so thick that no sunlight could penetrate. Lila took a deep breath and stepped into the shadows. The air was cool, and the ground was soft beneath her feet. As she walked, she noticed glowing blue mushrooms lining the path, their light guiding her way. Suddenly, she heard a soft whimper. Following the sound, she found a small rabbit caught in a tangle of vines. Its eyes were wide with fear, and it struggled to free itself. Remembering the tree's words about kindness, Lila knelt down and carefully untangled the vines. The rabbit hopped away, pausing to look back at her with gratitude before disappearing into the shadows. As Lila stood up, the forest seemed to brighten. The twisted trees straightened, and the path ahead became clear. She knew she had passed the first test. The path led Lila to a hidden grove, where the air was warm and filled with the scent of flowers. In the center of the grove was a small pool of water, its surface so still it looked like a mirror. Above the pool, the branches of the golden oak tree stretched out, their leaves shimmering like stars. Lila approached the pool and looked into the water. Instead of her reflection, she saw a glowing golden key resting at the bottom. She reached in and pulled it out, feeling a surge of warmth in her hand. As she held the key, the tree's voice returned. "You have proven your courage and kindness, Lila. The treasure of the Whispering Woods is yours." The ground beneath her feet began to glow, and the pool's water rose into the air, forming a shimmering doorway. Lila stepped through and found herself back at the edge of the forest, the golden key still in her hand. She didn't know what the key unlocked, but she knew one thing: the Whispering Woods had given her an adventure she would never forget. In the heart of the Whispering Woods, where the trees stood tall and the air smelled of pine and wildflowers, lived a wise old owl named Willow. Her feathers were a soft gray, and her eyes glowed like golden moons. Every evening, she perched on the highest branch of the great oak, watching over the forest and listening to its secrets. The woods were alive with sounds, the rustle of leaves, the chirping of crickets, and the gentle babble of the silver stream. One evening, as Willow scanned the forest, she noticed a young red fox darting through the underbrush. His name was Rusty, and he was known for his boundless curiosity. Rusty loved exploring every corner of the woods, but tonight, he seemed troubled. His bushy tail drooped, and his ears twitched nervously. "What's wrong, little one?" Willow hooted softly, gliding down to a lower branch. Rusty looked up, his amber eyes wide. "The silver stream is drying up. I went to drink from it, but there's barely any water left. What will happen to the animals who depend on it?" Willow knew this was serious. The silver stream was the lifeblood of the forest, providing water for all its inhabitants. She decided to call a meeting of the forest creatures. That night, under the glow of the full moon, animals of all kinds gathered around the great oak. There were deer, rabbits, squirrels, birds, and even a family of beavers. "Friends," Willow began, her voice calm but firm, "the silver stream is in danger. If it dries up, we will all suffer. We must work together to find the cause and save our home." The next morning, Willow, Rusty, and a brave otter named Luna set off to follow the stream to its source. The journey was long, and the forest grew quieter as they went. The trees seemed to whisper warnings, and the air felt heavy with unease. As they climbed higher into the hills, they noticed something strange. The ground was littered with broken branches and muddy tracks. These aren't from animals, Luna said, her nose twitching. Something big has been here. At last, they reached the source of the silver stream, a crystal clear spring high in the mountains. But their hearts sank when they saw what had happened. A massive dam of logs and mud blocked the water, diverting it away from the stream. Nearby, a group of beavers worked tirelessly, adding more branches to the structure. "Why are you doing this?" Rusty barked, his voice echoing through the hills. One of the beavers, an older one with a scar across his nose, stepped forward. "We had no choice," he said sadly. "Our old pond dried up, and we needed a new home. We didn't realize it would harm the forest." Willow listened carefully, her golden eyes thoughtful. "I understand your need for a home," she said, "but the forest depends on the silver stream. There must be another way." After much discussion, they came up with a plan. The beavers agreed to dismantle part of the dam, allowing water to flow back into the stream. In return, the forest creatures would help them build a new pond in a different part of the woods, where it wouldn't harm the water supply. Over the next few days, the forest buzzed with activity. Deer carried branches, rabbits dug trenches, and birds gathered moss to line the new pond. Even Rusty and Luna helped, using their sharp claws to shape the land. Willow supervised, offering wisdom and encouragement. By the end of the week, the new pond was complete. It was a beautiful spot, surrounded by ferns and wildflowers, with plenty of water for the beavers and their kits. As the water began to flow freely again, the forest seemed to sigh with relief. The silver stream sparkled in the sunlight, and the animals gathered to celebrate. Rusty splashed in the water, his tail wagging with joy, while Luna floated on her back, grinning from ear to ear. "We did it," Rusty exclaimed. "The forest is saved." That evening, as the sun set over the whispering woods, Willow called the creatures together once more. "Today, we learned the importance of balance and teamwork," she said. "When we work together and respect one another's needs, we can overcome any challenge." The animals cheered, their voices echoing through the trees. From that day on, they vowed to protect their home and live in harmony. The Whispering Woods thrived once more, its streams full, its trees tall, and its creatures happy. Willow continued to watch over the forest, her golden eyes shining with pride. And whenever a problem arose, the animals remembered the lesson of the silver stream, that together, they were stronger than any obstacle.
The Shadow Runner. The darkness descended upon the city as Jake Tanner stealthily navigated through narrow alleys. His black cloak fluttered in the icy wind, and he had pulled the hood low over his face. His eyes glowed like embers in the darkness. Jake was no ordinary man. He was a shadow runner, a master of stealth and silent infiltration. His mission was clear: infiltrate the heavily guarded Cyberdyne Corporation building and steal the top-secret plans for an innovative AI chip. The future of technology hinged on this inconspicuous little chip, and Jake knew he wasn't the only one searching for it. The Cyberdyne Corporation security guards were highly trained mercenaries armed with state-of-the-art equipment, but that wouldn't stop Jake. He had spent years perfecting his skills, from the art of silent assassination to mastering the hacking of security systems. The outer walls of the building were studded with motion sensors and laser traps, but to Jake, they were mere obstacles on his way to the objective. He moved like a shadow, always disappearing into the dark corners of the alleys when a guard was nearby. His movements were fluid and unobtrusive, as if he were merging with the darkness itself. When he finally reached the building, he pulled out a small high-tech grapple from his belt. With a skillful throw, the device shot up and anchored itself to one of the upper windows. In a flash, Jake climbed the facade, and not a single guard noticed his presence. Inside the building, the security was even more fortified. Laser beams crisscrossed the hallways, and biometric scanners secured access to the laboratories. However, Jake was not just an adept climber and fighter, he was also a brilliant hacker. With a swift motion, he took out his data terminal and connected it to the console. In the depths of the computer network, Jake battled against the artificial intelligence controlling the security systems. A cat-and-mouse game ensued, with Jake using all his experience to outsmart the AI. Every moment counted, as guards relentlessly patrolled the hallways. Finally, the doors to the labs opened, and Jake entered the sanctum of the Cyberdyne Corporation. In a highly secure room, the vault containing the coveted AI chip awaited. But the vault wasn't the only obstacle. A hologram of the CEO of the corporation, Dr. Victor Carswell, suddenly appeared before Jake. "You must think you can just infiltrate my sanctuary, Shadowrunner," Carswell said with a cynical smile. "But here, your journey ends." Jake remained calm. He had faced worse opponents before. Swiftly, he drew 2 futuristic blades from his boots and assumed a defensive stance. The holographic version of Carswell suddenly materialized an energy staff and attacked. The room filled with flashes of light and the sound of clashing blades as Jake and the hologram engaged in a fierce battle. Each of his movements was precise. Every attack from the hologram was deftly repelled. In the midst of the battle, Jake managed to take control of the hologram. He forced it to open the vault, and he seized the precious AI chip. However, before he could triumphantly escape, a sudden alarm interrupted the scene. The security systems had detected someone entering the labs. Guards flooded into the room to surround Jake, but he wasn't easily defeated. Holding the AI chip firmly in his hand, he triggered a smoke bomb and vanished into the impenetrable fog. Guards coughed and tried to dispel the smoke, but Jake was already on his way out. With breathtaking speed and acrobatic maneuvers, he eluded his pursuers and returned to the darkness of the city. In a hidden hideout, Jake analyzed the AI chip. He smiled with satisfaction, knowing that the information he had stolen was invaluable. Yet, his job was not done. The Shadowrunner would continue to exist in the dark corners of the city, ready to face the challenges of the future.
Sophie and Leo loved the ocean more than anything else. Every summer, they visited Coral Cove, a magical place where the water shimmered like diamonds under the sun. On this warm morning, the siblings raced down the sandy beach, giggling as the salty breeze kissed their cheeks. Sophie picked up a pink seashell and listened carefully. "It sounds like the ocean is calling us," she said. Leo squinted at the horizon. "Do you think the stories about the hidden treasure here are true?" he asked. Sophie grinned. "Only one way to find out." Sophie and Leo borrowed their uncle's rowboat to explore the deeper waters of Coral Cove. The rhythmic sound of the oars dipping into the water mingled with the gentle crashing of waves. "Look down," Sophie exclaimed, pointing into the water. Schools of bright orange and yellow fish darted between corals shaped like tiny castles. Suddenly, Leo noticed something shiny glimmering below. "There," he shouted. "It could be treasure." The siblings dropped anchor and peered into the water. Sophie noticed a dolphin swimming nearby, almost as if it was watching them. "Maybe it's guiding us," she said excitedly. The dolphin clicked and whistled, circling the boat. Its playful movements seemed to point toward a nearby reef. Sophie and Leo decided to follow. Diving under the surface, Sophie and Leo were mesmerized by the beauty of the reef. Colorful corals stretched out like an underwater garden, home to creatures of every size and shape. Leo spotted a giant clam, its shell glittering faintly. "Look at that," he called through his snorkel. Sophie swam closer and noticed something inside the clam, a golden locket. She reached out carefully and grabbed it. When they surfaced, Sophie held the locket up. "It's beautiful," she said, wiping the water from her face. Leo inspected it. "It looks old. I bet it has a story." As the sun began to set, Sophie and Leo opened the locket. Inside, they found a tiny, faded painting of a woman wearing a pearl necklace. On the back, an inscription read, "To my dearest Mariana, forever yours." Sophie tilted her head. "Who do you think Mariana was?" Leo shrugged. "Maybe someone who lived here long ago." A voice startled them. It was their uncle, walking up the beach. When they showed him the locket, his eyes widened. "This belonged to a woman who lived here many years ago," he said. "She was a sailor's wife, and he lost this locket during a storm. It's said she searched the ocean for it her whole life." As darkness fell, Sophie and Leo stood by the shore, gazing at the waves. The locket sparkled faintly in Sophie's hand. Leo smiled. "The ocean kept her secret all this time." Sophie nodded. "Maybe we were meant to find it." Just then, the dolphin leapt out of the water, its sleek body shimmering in the moonlight. Sophie waved. "Thank you for showing us the way," she called out. The siblings returned home, but the magic of Coral Cove stayed with them. They knew they had uncovered just one of the many secrets hidden beneath the waves, and that the ocean would always hold more mysteries waiting to be discovered. Once upon a time, there was a small village named Greenfield, situated on the edge of a dense, mysterious forest. In this village lived children who loved to play together and embark on adventures. One day, the children decided to organize a treasure hunt in the forest. They knew there was an old tower there that had been abandoned for centuries and was rumored to contain a valuable treasure. Emma, Jake, Max, and Sarah were best friends and decided to search for the treasure together. They met at the edge of the forest, each with a backpack full of supplies and a map they had drawn themselves. The map led them deep into the forest, where the old tower stood. When they reached the tower, they were faced with a huge, heavy wooden door. "How are we going to open this?" asked Emma. Max, who always carried a toolbox, took out a screwdriver and began working on the hinges. After a few minutes, he managed to open the door, and the children stepped inside. Inside the tower, it was dark and cool. The only light came from narrow windows, through which sparse light streamed. Sarah, who had a flashlight, turned it on and carefully led the group up the stairs. They climbed higher and higher until they finally reached a large room. In the middle of the room stood an old chest, secured with a heavy chain. "The treasure must be in there," Jake exclaimed excitedly. But the chain seemed indestructible. Sarah remembered an old story she had heard: "To open the chest, we need the key, which is hidden somewhere in the tower." The children began searching the room. Emma discovered an old, dusty carpet and rolled it up. Underneath, they found a small trapdoor. "Maybe the key is hidden down there," said Max and opened the trapdoor. Below it, a steep staircase led down into the darkness. Jake and Max descended the stairs while Emma and Sarah stayed above to search for more clues. In the basement, the boys found an old desk with a dusty box on it. Jake opened the box, and inside, as they had hoped, was a small, silver key. Joyfully, they ran back up the stairs. But when they opened the chest, they found no treasure inside, only a letter. The letter read, "The true treasure is not gold or silver. The true treasure is friendship and the ability to work together." The children were initially disappointed, but then they remembered how they had overcome all obstacles together to get there. Sarah thoughtfully said, "Maybe the letter is more valuable than we thought. We helped each other and were strong as a team." The others nodded in agreement. As they left the tower, they decided to share their discovery with the other children in the village. They told everyone about their adventure and how important it is to work together and trust each other. The story quickly spread throughout the village, and soon the children of Greenfield planned many more adventures, constantly proving how strong they could be together. A few weeks later, the children decided to host a big festival in the village. They wanted to celebrate what they had learned, that friendship and teamwork are the greatest treasures one can have. They decorated the village square with colorful garlands and lights, and everyone brought something to make the festival an unforgettable event. On the evening of the festival, the children recounted their story once more in front of all the villagers. "We learned that we can achieve anything together," said Emma proudly. "It doesn't matter how difficult the task is. If we stick together and support each other, we are invincible." The villagers applauded enthusiastically and were proud of the children. They now understood that the moral of the story went far beyond the treasure hunt. It was about valuing and nurturing the virtues of friendship, collaboration, and trust. From that day on, the children and even the adults in Greenfield always remembered the lessons they had learned. They helped each other whenever needed, thus strengthening the village community. Whether it was building a new tree house, solving a difficult math problem, or standing by a sick friend, they did it together. And so the children of Greenfield lived happily and contentedly, always knowing that the true treasure is not made of gold and silver, but of the priceless power of friendship and the magic of teamwork. The whisper of the farm. The darkness descended upon the remote farmhouse as the last rays of the setting sun disappeared behind the hills. The wind howled through the trees, causing the dried leaves to rustle. A foreboding chill permeated the air, as if nature itself sensed the arrival of the horror slowly approaching. Inside the old farmhouse, an eerie silence reigned. The walls were adorned with damp patches, the plaster crumbling in many places. A musty odor filled the air, and the floor beneath the creaking floorboards seemed to yield. No one had inhabited this abandoned building for years, but tonight was about to change that. A group of 5 young people, seeking thrills and excitement, had decided to make this abandoned farm their shelter for the night. Rumors had it that a family lived here many years ago, disappearing under mysterious circumstances. Yet all of this only seemed to add to the allure for the five friends. They had packed their bags with snacks, flashlights, and sleeping bags, and had driven their SUV to the farm. The stars twinkled in the sky as they entered the farmhouse. The creaking floorboards yielded under their steps, and a cold draft swept over their skin. "Wow, this is really creepy in here," remarked Lisa with a nervous laugh as she turned on her flashlight, sweeping the beam of light across the room. The others agreed, but their excitement outweighed their fear. They erupted in laughter and began to explore the rooms. Hours passed, and the mood gradually shifted. The laughter faded, and an invisible burden seemed to weigh on each of them. The atmosphere grew increasingly oppressive, as if the walls of the farmhouse were closing in on them. Then they heard it, a faint whisper, seeming to come from the dark corners of the room. "Did you hear that?" Alex whispered, turning around, his flashlight trembling in his hand. The others held their breath and listened. But the whisper faded as suddenly as it had started. Maybe it was just the wind, Lisa tried to reassure, though her voice quivered. The rest of the night unfolded in a strange blend of nervousness and futile attempts to relax. They thought they saw shadows dancing in their peripheral vision, but when they looked, there was nothing. The creaking floorboards and the faint scratching at the windows seemed to embed themselves in their minds. As the midnight bell chimed in the distance, they decided to rest in their sleeping bags, hoping to put the events of this strange night behind them. But sleep would not come. Every time one of them closed their eyes, the sounds seemed to intensify. A soft whimper, a whisper that swelled into a disturbing murmur. Ultimately, none of them could escape the torment of sleep. The night stretched into an endless series of horror scenarios. Shadows danced on the walls, unseen fingers brushed against their skin, and the whispers transformed into bone-chilling laughter echoing from all directions. The sun struggled to break through the windows as morning arrived. The five friends crawled out of their sleeping bags, deep bags under their eyes and their faces pale. The night had been an enduring ordeal that had ensnared them all. "How could we ever think this was a good idea?" muttered Tom as he slowly got up and stretched his stiff body. The others fell silent, unable to find an answer. The farmhouse had torn apart their souls, unleashed their fears, and turned them into broken shadows of themselves. The day passed in a fog of exhaustion and disorientation. They left the farmhouse as quickly as they could, attempting to leave the terrible memories behind. But the darkness of the previous night would forever haunt them. The laughter, the whispers, the elusive movements, they had awakened something that could never be contained again. One by one, the group fell apart. Each of them embarked on a personal odyssey of madness. Sleepless nights, nightmares, inexplicable noises, the farmhouse had left something within them irreversibly altered. Eventually, they vanished one by one, consumed by the darkness they had summoned. The farmhouse remained behind, a gloomy ruin that whispered of the terrors it harbored. Those who entered felt the unsettling presence that still lurked within its walls. The story turned into legend, and the legend turned into a curse. Those who dared to confront the horror found no peace, for the farmhouse had claimed their souls and now demanded their own. Whispers of the Siren's Cove. Once upon a moonlit night, a lone ship sailed through the treacherous waters of the Caribbean Sea. Its black sails billowed in the salty breeze, and the Jolly Roger, a skull with crossed cutlasses beneath, struck fear into the hearts of any sailor unfortunate enough to cross its path. The ship was known as the Obsidian Serpent, captained by the infamous pirate, Blackbeard's long-lost protege, Captain Serafina Raven. Captain Serafina was a legend among pirates, her reputation as cunning as her raven black hair. She led a crew of misfits, each with their own dark pasts and tales of betrayal. Among them was Red-Eye Roderick, a scar-faced quartermaster with a penchant for sabotage, and Silent Mary, a mute sharpshooter who never missed her mark. The Obsidian Serpent was on a quest for the elusive Siren's Cove, a mythical island whispered to hold a treasure more valuable than all the gold in the world. Legends spoke of enchanted waters protecting the cove, guarded by the mesmerizing song of the sirens, who lured sailors to their doom. Many had sought the treasure, but none had returned to tell the tale. As the Obsidian Serpent neared the coordinates, the air grew thick with tension. Captain Serafina stood at the helm, her keen eyes scanning the horizon for any signs of danger. The crew worked in silence, their anticipation palpable. Suddenly, a haunting melody wafted through the air, sending shivers down their spines. "Sirens," whispered Silent Mary, her eyes narrowing in focus. The crew exchanged uneasy glances, but Captain Seraphina's steely gaze remained fixed on the dark waters ahead. The haunting melody grew louder, weaving its enchantment into the very fabric of the night. The crew felt an irresistible urge to follow the song, their minds clouded by a bewitching desire. But Captain Seraphina, immune to the siren's call, rallied her crew with a resolute command. "Steady, me hearties. We sail through these treacherous waters with a purpose. Hold fast and we'll reap the rewards of the Siren's Cove." The obsidian serpent sliced through the enchanted waters, the crew's determination overcoming the seductive lull of the sirens. As the ship approached the shadowy shores of the cove, a mysterious fog enveloped them, cloaking the island in an ethereal glow. They dropped anchor, and the crew disembarked cautiously, their eyes scanning the surroundings. The air was thick with the scent of exotic flowers and the distant murmur of waves crashing against unseen rocks. The pirates ventured deeper into the island, following a winding path that led them to a concealed cave entrance. Captain Seraphina, her instincts honed by years of piracy, led the way. Inside the cavern, they discovered a chamber adorned with glittering treasures beyond imagination. Gold coins, jewels, and artifacts from long-forgotten civilizations gleamed in the soft light. The crew gasped in awe, their eyes wide with disbelief. But the true prize lay at the heart of the cavern, a chest, adorned with ancient symbols and surrounded by an otherworldly aura. Captain Seraphina approached it cautiously, her hand brushing the intricately carved lid. As she opened the chest, a radiant light spilled forth, revealing the fabled heart of the ocean, a jewel said to hold the power of the sea itself. As the crew marveled at their newfound riches, the cavern trembled, and the haunting melody of the sirens echoed through the chamber. The pirates exchanged alarmed glances, realizing that their victory might come at a cost. The enchanted waters surrounding the island began to churn, and the ghostly figures of the sirens materialized before them. But Captain Seraphina, undeterred, raised the heart of the ocean high. The jewel emitted a brilliant light, creating a protective barrier around the pirates. The sirens wailed in frustration, their ethereal forms dissipating as the pirates escaped the cavern. The obsidian serpent sailed away from the Siren's Cove, its hull laden with untold wealth, and the legendary heart of the ocean safely secured. As they left the enchanted waters behind, the siren's song faded into the distance, and the crew knew they had emerged victorious against the mystical temptations of the sea. Captain Seraphina stood at the helm, her eyes fixed on the horizon. The obsidian serpent continued its journey, leaving the legendary Siren's Cove behind, but carrying with it the whispers of the sirens and the echoes of a pirate's triumph over the supernatural. Once upon a time, there lived a young boy named Tim, in an idyllic village called Sunlight. Tim was a spirited boy with a heart of gold. He was always kind to everyone he met, and tried to help others wherever he could. One day, as Tim strolled through the village square, he heard a sorrowful sobbing. Curiously, he followed the sound and found a little bird that had injured its leg and couldn't fly. Tim felt sorry for the bird and decided to help. He gently scooped the bird into his hands and took it to a nearby veterinarian. The vet praised Tim's kindness and promised to take care of the injured bird. Tim felt good that he had helped the bird and walked home happily. But on the way, he encountered an elderly woman struggling to carry her shopping bags. Tim didn't hesitate and rushed to her aid immediately. The old woman smiled gratefully and thanked Tim profusely. When Tim finally arrived home, he told his mother about his day's adventures. His mother smiled proudly and said, "Tim, your kindness is like magic. Today, you not only helped the injured bird, but also brought a smile to the old woman's face. Tim was delighted by his mother's words, and resolved to be a good person every day, and to help others whenever he could. In the following weeks, Tim continued his good deeds. He helped a little girl find her lost doll, and assisted an elderly man in tending to his garden. Wherever he went, he spread kindness and joy. One day, as Tim wandered through the forest, he encountered an evil witch living in a cottage. The witch was notorious for brewing sinister potions and playing tricks on the villagers. When the witch saw Tim, she grinned wickedly and said, "I've heard you're a boy full of kindness. But I don't believe you're as kind as everyone says." Without hesitation, Tim replied with a smile, "I can try to be as kind as possible, even to those who aren't kind to me." The witch was surprised by Tim's response. She had expected him to be afraid or angry, but instead he remained calm and composed. The witch began to contemplate her own actions, and how she had caused harm to others. Suddenly, the evil witch transformed into a friendly fairy. She thanked Tim for his kindness, and explained that his compassion and kindness had prompted her to reconsider her wicked ways. As a token of gratitude for Tim's kindness, the fairy granted him a wish. Tim didn't hesitate, and wished for everyone in the village to be happy and kind forever. The fairy smiled and granted his wish. From that day on, the people of Sunlight lived in peace and harmony. And Tim was celebrated as a hero, who, through his kindness and compassion, changed the village and even an evil witch. The moral of the story is that kindness and compassion have the power to touch even the darkest hearts, and make the world a better place.